Oh, okay. And the track hearing is Domino by Howlsall. This track is extremely interesting. It's got some of the best guitar arrangements I've heard from, well, Howlsall. And it's also pretty fun to play as well. It's quite a heavy song as well. It's sort of emotional in a way too. It's got the vibe to it that it's about relationships, which it's pretty obvious from various things, and also it's just like a paranoid relationship, I guess. I think that's what it's referencing. I could be wrong based on what I've just heard about. Well, heard from it, rather, not heard about. But to me, that seems to be what it's about, and yeah, I think it gets the point across. The only issue, I guess, is I think the vocals are a bit weird in places. I hate to say it because, I think, what is his name? I can't remember his name now. Dominic? It could be the wrong name, but sorry if your name is not Dominic. Yeah, great vocalist. I've heard many great vocals from Elder. This is probably one of the weaker performances in certain areas. It's not all bad, that's what I could say, but the only part I just don't like is the high notes. It just sounds like a boy band song. It's like, that's kind of not good. Doesn't sound good. It's like high notes randomly being put over low notes. Yeah, just doesn't work. I'm surprised that there was an oversight on that even. Well, unless he was showing off playing the drums at the same time, which is a different story. But yeah, he's incredibly talented though, that goes without saying. Just the vocals that I'm not a fan of, but the rest of the song is just great. The composition, the pacing of it, the tempo. Well, the tempo as well, I think there's two if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it's just timings. I'm not good with tracking tempo. Yeah, it's just a good track, and I do enjoy it. I do also appreciate the effects as well, because I have effects on the guitars which I don't usually hear used on them, even from punk and rock bands. That's quite an unusual thing, and that's what Hell the Sun is great for as well. It's using tones in very, very creative ways, which I can always appreciate, and yeah, it's definitely different. I think if you're a new guitarist, you'd probably be mind blown by the amount there is with this, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, let's move on to the first topic. So excuse me as I try to do three things at once, but I recently, well just now actually, just made a list about, again, what I'd do if I was a millionaire, because I've decided to write this down because I don't think I've actually done that before. I've said before that if I ever became stupid rich, I would not actually, spend it on myself, and that's only as far as like my needs go. I don't need anything overboard, which is kind of the problem I have when I see other people with lots of money and who are stupidly rich when they do it. Like, I get maybe you have success, yeah, maybe you want to flaunt it. I don't know why. I can never really understand that, to be honest. Every time I see a car, like I saw a Ferrari the other day, just I don't give a shit. Like, why the fuck should I care? There's a car that could easily be totaled. It doesn't do anything, and then I'd rather just have an electric, like, I don't know, like SUV sort of thing, compared to a sports car. Unless it's like a really old sports car that I can convert into an EV. I'm obviously not talking about Lotus. I fucking love some old cars like that. With the pop-up headlights. They're really cool. I do have a car collection pictures thing, but I've never really looked into cars that much. Let me look at it. Lotus 80s pop-up headlight. I think it's Lotus. Lotus Esprit. Yeah, that's a classic. It's so fucking nice. apparently a Lamborghini Countach, whatever those. But they do look futuristic. Also, like, I like the DeLorean as well. I haven't seen Back to the Future in ages. Look, what other cars are there? The cars with pop-up headlights. Because even though I don't really want the pop-up feature exactly, I don't really care. I just think they're very smooth-looking cars. Like, this is the one I've seen. Like, what the fuck is this? 52 cool cars with pop-up headlights. That's pretty cool. It's like an old Lamborghini, I think. That's pretty cool. What is it called? Automotive Pop Stars? That's getting a save. It looks like a Lamborghini though. So I don't know what's going on there. But let's just turn into cars. I'm getting ADHD. A Siesta V160 apparently is what I have saved there. Yeah, this Lamborghini looks fucking awesome. CSR as one already has. Oh, the Evolutive Ferrari 355. Yeah, that looks amazing. It's only 2-seater, but it's neat. But yeah, I look at these and I think like, yeah, they're cool. Certainly cars I could have. Yeah. It really is like a it's like a relic, I guess, at this point, because it's quite 80s, and that's an old car. Cord 810. That's fucking old-fashioned. Well, this looks nice. The Tommaso Pantera. I like that. That's pretty cool. Another cool car. Dodge Daytona, not really my thing. Ferrari F40, I've seen that before. VX1. Ford Probe. It looks like a Probe as well. Fucking. I think it's got like a curve around back windscreen. I don't know, is that? Oh, God. Yeah, these are some fascinating cars. The Jaguar XJ 220. That looks pretty amazing. Yeah, generally some cool cars here. Like, just really sleek designs and really ahead of its time as well. That's what the appeal is with these. I think it's like they're quite modern in appearance. Pap Solo, what the fuck? Looks futuristic as hell. I recommend this. It's called Motoring Research, called Cars with Pop-Up Headlights. I only just discovered this now, obviously. Some fascinating cars, so I have been to a car show before. Vector M12, I've seen that before. It actually looks really sleek. What the fuck? I'm saving that one as well. But you know, it isn't just about the pop-up headlights, it's also about reliability and fun you can have with it. But anyway, as I said, I've made the list and I decided to go through each thing as individually as possible. So, yeah, the first thing on the list, really enough, is just a suitable house, and only the necessities. So, I don't need to go overboard with this. I'm not looking for a coastline house or even one in the mountains. Just a countryside house would be nice in itself. As long as it's not a conservative town, I will do research on that, obviously. Don't want any fucking fox hunters there, or I'm going to hire people to investigate them and tell them. That's what I'll do with the money. And that'll be some of my activism. Why's that sticking out? I don't know why my drawers sticking out there. But yeah, I quite fancy a house that is just out of the way, out of a town. A small place, kind of, with a shop, obviously, and these stuff. A few shops, maybe. So maybe a town rather than a village. Unless the village has fresh produce, but I don't know. It has to be vegetables, obviously. But it really depends. I don't want to go near farmland. I think that's a bad idea, because manure is quite unhealthy, I think. I've seen it cause problems for communities living around the area, and also like slaughterhouses are quite fucking horrific, because they let the excess blood run off into the rivers, and it is awful. I genuinely don't know why that's legal. It shouldn't be. It definitely pollutes the rivers and causes issues. And also issues for wildlife, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, like I said, a house like that, just one bedroom, one kitchen, and obviously one bathroom and one living room if it's there. Like, I wouldn't say no to it, I don't think, because it could be handy, could be interesting as well, and also it might even just get me out. It might even make me able to communicate with people and make friends and get to know neighbours as well. Like, you never know. Something that could happen. So it would be kind of interesting, and I think the other thing I'd do is renewable energy. I'd have to add that. If it doesn't, even if it's like a village sort of house, like a cottage house, whatever you call it. I'm trying to think of what they're actually called. I swear there was a name. Like cottage house UK. Cottage, yeah, kinda. It's kind of what I'm thinking of, but it's more like stone laid. I love those fucking cobblestone houses. They're quite nice, brick laid as well. I swear this. Wait a minute. I think I just found the house that appeared in Black Mirror. It's on Pinterest. 11 photos of English country cottages that make us want more right now. It's a Black Mirror episode with the robot bees, or yeah, robot bees, isn't it? I think that's the same house. I could be mistaken, but what the fuck? What's the chances of that? Maybe it's famous. I just don't know it. Yeah, again, like something like this, if it's an old house specifically, I would like an older house. I think as long as it's not mouldy, obviously, or can be renovated, so get a house inspection, for example. I think that's important. I don't want it to look like a dump like some places do. This one looks like it's fucking abandoned. What the hell? It's got tiles coming off. Yeah. Yeah, like a small local place as well. Just be nice. That's AI. Why the fuck is it even showing up? Piss off. Flag AI generated image. There we go. One of the good things about DuckDuckGo. As I said, that's the sort of house I'm kind of looking at. If not modern house, they'll do. Just my preference would be as soundproof as possible rather than aesthetics. Aesthetics would be nice, and even location, but sound more important. I can almost guarantee that. But that does lead into like the next thing, which is obviously a new computer, because my one at the moment, assuming. Well, I'm just assuming that if I become a millionaire in the next few months or year or whatever, I do need a new computer. Has to be said. I'll just extract the storage and put it onto my new one. I've done that before with enough. It's pretty easy to do, but there are some annoying parts to it, I think. But a new computer would be good, but I don't need to go overboard. So I won't get like 5090s or, even like bloody Threadrippers. I don't really need that, to be honest. Well, Threadrippers actually, yeah. What am I saying? I do need that, because my VST uses a ton of processing power. So it does become necessary at that point, and yeah. I'll add that, like, big CPU, big RAM. Pretty much need that. And then, depending on if it's a new house or an old house. Oh yeah, I forgot internet access in the house. Also mobile data would be handy, but I don't know. But new furniture, maybe, because it depends on the space, but I wouldn't mind new furniture. Putting up shelves and stuff, but also if that furniture or the house rather is modern, I wouldn't need to add much, but if it's old house, fuck it, I'll make it fantasy. Like, I'll go completely new with that, because it is one of the aesthetics that I do really like, and it does add colour to the world, which again, even though it is kind of lacking, it is kind of interesting to have. And I could always decorate rooms to be different, so bathroom doesn't have to be oldie, it can be modern. But a bedroom can be modern as well, although I could make a living room with it, again, oldie. So I don't know how I'll do the interiors. I think of like sort of darkish colour to make it look old. Not sure what though. I'll have to look. Maybe wallpapers, because that's the thing. Yeah, remember wallpapers, kids? I guarantee you a lot of people don't. Nowadays, just do looks, but I remember wallpapers. I don't think they're that fun to put up though. That's one of the problems. But yeah, I wouldn't mind it, in all honesty. But yeah, new furniture would be neat, and obviously if it's a place with a living room, well, I'd have to get a sofa, wouldn't I? I'll probably get maybe a sofa bed. And also I get like footrest if there is the option. Obviously like a TV. I won't get a stupidly expensive one either. This is the thing. People with lots of money will just spend it as quickly as possible. But you always want to go with the middle ground here. So you don't want to go too high, but you don't want to go too low. So that's why I'd go with like a mid-range TV. So I don't know, HDR, 4K, maybe 8K. Like, fuck it, 8K. But again, it depends on the living room if there is one, or if for my bedroom I could get an 8K. Like, why not? And my computer will probably go with that actually. There's a wireless sort of thing. And if it can auto sleep, that'd be amazing. If there's a setting for that, or even just software. But yeah, the furniture would be interesting. The next thing, though, is more interesting and something I only decided a few months ago. I haven't thought about it really. But I think I'd like to attempt driving lessons because with a money situation underway, I think being able to drive would be pretty good for my mental health and being able to get from place to place. Because I do see a lot of idiot drivers on the road, and I know with how decent I am at games, I can often remember to do things properly. So, it's possible that I can probably drive. Just be able to get around easy. Rage off drivers, because that's the thing that you have to do. But also I'll just be able to drive people around if I need to. So also there's that benefit of being someone who can be productive and useful in that sense. But driving lessons seem like a good idea. The other thing, EV, an electric vehicle, as I sort of said at the beginning, I wouldn't mind getting an electric vehicle, but if there's nothing out there that's any good, then I'd look into getting a old car and converting that into a completely electronic. And yeah, like it'd be worth the money even if it costs like a bit more of my money to begin with, because it means I get the dream car and the dream setup. Also getting like a Bluetooth radio. I need to add that actually. Plus Bluetooth radio for a car. Because I fucking hate how even some modern cars don't have the basic features like a Bluetooth radio. Also, I wouldn't want electric everywhere in the car, that's another thing. Because it's kind of a death trap to have everything electronic. I want some things manual, like sure, open it from a distance, open doors from a distance with a key press, that's fine. Having the keyholes, that's also fine. But I wouldn't have completely electronic, like, oh, I detect your presence, open. That's dangerous. And also bound to go wrong. Because if it locks you in rather, that's a death trap. A crash, so no. A Bluetooth radio would help me, so that'd be good. The next thing, actually, which I won't go into too many details about, but I'd find ways to split the money between friends and family, but only a portion of it. So basically what I've spent irrelevant, but I'd say about, depending on how much I get off this, is like, I'd say like a 10% split is probably the maximum I'd go for. The reason being, even though it sounds cruel, is that I don't want to incentivise not just like leeching, but also the very fact that you'll be spending too much money. Because if you have too much money in your hands, you're probably going to misuse it. And even then, I'll probably try to negotiate like, okay, I've got all this money, and I do care about your safety and your health. but we really do need to be careful with this and not make a mistake. So my suggestion is like maybe for some people in, I don't know, family or friend groups, go find a house that's obviously buyable, and you know, go with that. Like make sure it's the right house, and you get that money and the rest left over. Like make sure you're spending it well, rather than just getting like a fancy fucking car or just stupid expensive things. It's like, do you care about what people spend their money on? Yeah, giving it away, yes, but it's my money as well. So I do wish that, or I hope that they'd respect my wishes in that sense. So it's very much a careful deduction. So yeah, like just a fair split between like friends I know and stuff. Like I know, actually, I do know a friend who needs to fucking move. Which is quite nice. Met her quite a few years ago in real life, actually. First time I ever went out. It's actually to meet her, and the first time I ever went out to meet a friend. I mean, so it's kind of a special moment in that sense, which I'm pretty grateful for, even though the day was kind of mixed. But I definitely know that she needs a new place, and especially at her age as well. It's probably not a good idea to say where she is. It's kind of problematic as well. The only thing, again, like negotiating, this is why I say it. It's like, because I won't say in specific details, but certain people can have problems with money, and they can lead them to darker places, and yeah, I want to help with that, obviously. Literally put stops on it, so maybe an allowance sort of thing with that kind of situation. Again, it's like organising it. Probably spreadsheet it, to be honest, even though it sounds a bit weird. Be able to split it fairly and being allowing decent people to get through this, and I could even give it to a community as well, technically speaking. So maybe a split for them as well. Depends. Just giving away only momentarily just a bit of money. It's just part of charity for a community I can respect and appreciate. It'd be for like a vegan community that I've known, if that's the case. But that leads into the next thing. Getting further down the list in terms of priority, although the last thing is a priority thing, but it's only just because it's focusing on the things I need to do so I can be comfortable. Good old fucking Indian meal. Let's go. Yeah, no surprise there. I do need to get an Indian meal to celebrate, assuming it's vegan, of course. It'd be great to have that. So, I'll probably do it quite regularly. Depends on where it is, but I could probably do it regularly if that's the case. It'd be kind of nice to have. If there is like an Indian takeaway nearby. No, it's not really a problem, but I just wouldn't want to pay the bullshit like McDonald's or KFC or Burger King, but fuck that. I'd rather not go there if that's an option. So somewhere local would be nice. But that leads on to the final thing, which is also, again, important. I think I'll probably save about 5% for myself. As in, I'd save the money to keep myself happy and healthy for the foreseeable future. Again, assuming I have all these other things, I get stuff that's on my wish list every now and then. Probably like a 3D printer and a normal printer as well. Assuming I still need that. Also renovations on the house where they're needed. I'll probably replace the bathtub if there's a problem with that. And toilet as well, need a bidet. That's another thing, but saving the money, that would help for the foreseeable future once everything's sort of settled down. And then I can give the rest to charity and organisations. So maybe, again, it sounds cruel, but I need to drip feed it, don't I? Because I literally need to give it time to settle in, as in making sure that everyone's getting their fair chance at this. So I'm not just giving it to say, I don't know, like Viva Charity, or trying to think of others actually. maybe an autism specific organisation. Basically just not giving it away again, sort of within not even just using it for like what other people do, where they sometimes go onto charity streams and make the biggest fucking donations you can, even though they might be tempting. And it's possible for me to do it as well. I might do it once or twice. I don't want to do it all the time, to be fair. I think that's a bit kind of not cruel, but just it does feel unnecessary sometimes, even though charities do need money. I'd just rather go directly to a charity, so environmental charities as well, if I can put that. That's important. Helping with research too, definitely important. And helping people in other countries as well. Like, sort of forget. There are countries where oppression is still alive and running, and there are also problems, and they need to be addressed. I can't really think of anything else. I just think that this situation, if it ever arises, and if people ever have to trust in me, to be honest, to get me to this point, I just need to be very careful with it. Because I know a lot of people would be very uncareful about these things, which sucks. It's really not the situation that you want to place yourself in, as pretty apparent with the various issues we see nowadays, where people just spend tons of money on something and then regret it. I just want to I'd rather spend money on things that I don't regret, and that's pretty much the philosophy here. Again, buying something that's necessary, but not the things I don't need. Investing it in people with, again, those strings attached, so that they don't obviously misuse it and harm themselves. But it's like looking out for others. So I do think it's important. But anyway, I think that there's not really much else to say here. Like, that's just it, I think. That's what I'll do if I was a millionaire. So anyway, let's move on. So I asked for a response to the tweet thing with Zach Blansky, because I'm still confused. There is no proof of this, and yet we have to just go by what people are saying. And according to Rose on Blue Sky, Rose wasn't there. It's an interesting mix of words. Mixing wasn't with there. It's just the same tea, but anyway. This response says, TLDR is a retweet of a tweet accusing the police of being excessive in the level of force used to disarm the slammer. I mean, I'd file it under a really dumb tweet, but not disqualifying or anything, whilst it really suggests that he doesn't know how hard it is to disarm someone clutching a weapon, and it's also just a bit of a dumb take days out of the election. It's kind of what people were saying before. Basically it being like about the disarming of a weapon, and it's not a dumb, it is a dumb take, what the fuck could say. But I mean, the problem is when people look at this and think, oh, this is really dumb, I'm not going to vote Greens now. Well, that's what's going to tear this fucking country apart. It's literally the divide. You look at these mistakes, and this is like a pretty small one given everything's already done and dusted anyway. There's nothing happening now about this crime yet, as far as we know. Other than an arrest, obviously. But, it's like such a small thing to even comment on, as in how they disarmed the person. Not obviously the stabbing, which is a big deal, but the point here is the response to obviously how it was tackled, and everyone's going to have their opinions on it. I think the idea with the original tweet to again provide a still ban is that the disarming of said person was probably inappropriate at best, because obviously having a weapon, but no doubt being either mentally ill enough or just unstable enough that you're not in the right mind, is probably a bad idea to supposedly hit the stabber. like hit the stabber in the head, which apparently is what it is, which I haven't even been confirmed what it was yet. You know, no matter what it was, there should have been something done anyway, like a taser, for example. A taser would have probably been one of the better options, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong about that, but that's also probably a dumb take. But, like, how do I know? Like, what is the footage? Like, actually, that's the point. Let me look at the footage, like, Golders Green Stabber footage. Let's see. Police body cam footage shows a man with Golders Green stabbing arrest on YouTube by the Guardian. Guardian has fell from grace, it seems. Okay, there is a taser. They did shoot the taser, but missed. Why is this guy approaching the police? The fuck? Yeah, but he's still holding the fucking weapon though. It's literally right in his hands. For God's sake. That is really a dumb take from whoever originally made the tweet, to be honest. Because, you know, this is the thing. This isn't even Zach Polanski's issue. It's the fucking moron who tweeted this to begin with. The guy has a fucking knife. He's not letting go of the knife. So, of course, you're going to have to do some force. You're going to have to restrain them. Taser, obviously, just fine. That's a good idea. They did do it. They succeeded in that. But it didn't do enough, it seems. So they had to actually disarm him, get on top of him, which means, yeah, physical damage. But how else are you going to protect lives? And the guy was fucking approaching the police as well. It's like he wasn't letting go of the knife. He wasn't dropping it aside. Like, oh, I'm surrendering. No, the guy's a criminal. He literally wanted to be arrested, it seems. Which also is a demonstration that there is something wrong there. But it's so fucking weird. But they had to literally forcefully disarm him and grab his hand to get rid of the knife. And yeah, like, it's a pretty fucked situation. And I obviously have to disagree with the fact that this use of force is wrong. It's absolutely correct. You know, obviously, good job to the police for doing that. But, you know, if I ever encounter a stabber, like, they're not going to go down as, like, hard as this, though. It's going to be fucking seconds, like, because I do understand a bit about close combat and stuff. In fact, I've had too much bullying experience to really know exactly. I don't know how to word it exactly. I've just had a lot of experience in close quarters experiences with, also, childhood bullying, yeah, being the victim of bullying and stuff, and also just people trying to be physical in general. But, you know, I've got some insane strength on my side as well as reactions, so yeah, basically the stabber would be snapped, I think, if I was to ever encounter that. That's pretty much how it would go. But assuming I can't, obviously, disarm them like another way. Yeah, it's a tweet, stupids. But retweeting it, like, it's not the dumbest thing in the world. That's the thing. As this response pointed out, it literally isn't the dumbest thing in the world. I get if it was like, fire the police, fire them for this disarming of this person who is obviously a psychopath or just mentally ill. But it's not, as far as I'm aware. It's just criticising it, and that's completely different. They're not asking for the cancellation as far as I saw. And, you know, until we actually have a source for this, again, we need to see the source of the fucking tweet to know what we're actually dealing with here. But based on the evidence so far, yeah, it's still a stupid retweet. It's not a good idea, obviously. But I will have to mention this as well, because I get where they're coming from with it. But I think they needed to have obviously thought about this a little bit longer, obviously Zach Polanski does. But same with the original tweet as well, because this mainly goes back to the original tweet. I think what's probably going through Zach's head is that the excessive force is very reminiscent of, well, basically ICE, and even like going back quite a few years, the George Floyd stuff. But it is very reminiscent of that, just the way they handled it. But it's not the same thing, obviously, because George Floyd wasn't armed, and even with ICE, like, I don't even know how much force they use. I know they've killed people like it before, which again, it's like very similar. It's a similar disarming technique, although ICE is a bunch of terrorists, so obviously they're not doing it with the intention to arrest or apprehend. They're doing it with the intent to harm and kill. There's no such thing as protection with ICE. But I see the similarities and I understand it from that point of view, but the police are a very different ballgame here. Where if they were to do that, much like the George Floyd thing, you know, it would no doubt cause an uproar, but again, the criminal is guilty. We know this because of the harm that's been done. So I don't really understand why, again, this is a criticism. But again, it's just a stupid retweet. You know, it's probably a heat of the moment thing, obviously a mistake at this point. But it's just a heat of the moment thing. I think you could see this footage and think, God, that's shocking. Because it is. The guy's holding a knife. I didn't see if it was bloodied though, it's kind of hard to tell. But he's approaching the police, and the police like tase him, yeah, got him to the ground, and then sat on top of him to disarm his fucking knife, like get the knife off him. And that's justified. So yeah, like, it's shocking in the moment, but again, looking at it, it's like, yeah, you have to do that. It'd be the same if the person has a gun. It'd be the same if the person has anything sort of dangerous or harmful in their hands. Yeah. But again, as people will do, they'll just take away the wrong thing from this, saying that the tweet is so stupid that the Greens will lose popularity, or that retweeting this was a bad idea. You know, there's many different ways people interpret it, but the only correct way, in my opinion, is to see this as a mistake. And as far as the apology goes, like, I have to look it up again, but HYPERSKY gold as green. Let's see if it actually comes up with a tweet though. More shitty things. That doesn't come out with a tweet, I don't think. Oh wait, there it is. Okay. Sorry. So the tweet starts with Mark Crowley said the 45-year-old suspect has a history of serious violence and mental health issues. And someone responded to that with, so essentially his officers were repeatedly and violently kicking a mentally ill man in the head when he is already incapacitated by a taser. What? Like, the guy just murdered someone. It's irrelevant whether he's mentally ill or not. That's something you wouldn't know in that situation. You know, unless they suddenly have this AI technology that somehow identifies this, you know, the person, says, oh, he's mentally ill, be careful. But no, they wouldn't have fucking known that. So obviously I'm with the police on this, and the police did respond apparently. So, what did they say? I don't think that's supposed to, there it is actually. This image fucking resolution is awful. It's an MSN article. That's the only one that actually sourced it. But props there. Fucking hell, MSN is shit, but that's good. Metropolitan Police, dear Zach, I was disappointed to have seen your recent post on X amplifying a post that Met officers were repeatedly and violently kicking a mentally ill man in the head when he was already incapacitated by the taser. I'm disappointed because it is a kind of inaccurate and misinformed commentary with its associated casual disregard for the incredibly challenging and dangerous work police officers do to protect the public. That is contributing to the rising tensions we are seeing in society and undermines officer confidence to act. It's really annoying. What the fuck? Could go away. It's entirely possible the author of the post you Retweet had direct experience from the scene, or has years of experience handling complex violent situation. What? Okay, grammar mistake. Yeah, I suspect that the more likely scenario is that they are another armchair critic who thinks they could do the job possibly more effectively and braver than the officers already detained the individual. Those officers are nothing short of extraordinary. They'll see them in a few minutes, and their actions undoubtedly prevented further injury and saved lives. As I said yesterday, the officers confronted a dangerous man they believed to be a terrorist who refused to show his hands. He was violent and continued to pose a clear threat. They were not armed officers, and they feared concealing an explosive device. That he was using their only training equipment and substantial level of bravery and the courage. They detained him, continued to try and attack and stab them. Without their efforts to stop him, I dread to think what happened. Apprehending violent and dangerous criminals is a full contract and a basic task which appears shocking to observers with little experience of policing in the real world. London's Jewish communities are scared. They have experienced a series of targeted attacks on the community, and they expect out officers to act, protect them. This is exactly what our officers did yesterday. Your decision to criticise these officers using a public profile and reach will have a chilling effect. Officers need to know that when they act to protect Londoners decisively, they will be supported. Officers know they must be accountable for the use of force, and there are processes for this to happen. Your use of the public profile to call their actions questions that result to a terrorist incident is not the appropriate route. Free speech is an important facet of a democratic society. We both agree on that. Against the backdrop of global instability and heightened tensions, the right approach in this situation is to show compassion, lower tensions, and not inflame them by further amplifying us and them rhetoric. We have significantly stepped up our activity across the capital in the recent weeks and the hours following the attack at Golders Green a few weeks ago. We have seen communities come together to reject hatred and violence. Solidarity means, and at this moment we need politicians and community leaders at the forefront of it, not only condemning horrific attacks, but by taking leadership in confronting anti-Semitism and permissive rhetoric, lowering the tensions and backing those who are willing to sign in to protect public and reassure the public. It is a bit of a strange response in some ways. Like, some positives just seem off to me. Also, it's very rushed out. That's pretty obvious. I'm not going to criticise that. But about the author, like, how do you even know that the original tweet by Anne, it said, was actually someone who's dealt with this before and was there on the scene? Like, what? You don't. So why is this even a point? Even though you do need to criticise them, it's not another thing. And then you're saying armchair critic as if it's like a bad thing. Are you kidding me? People do this for a living as well. Like, people look at these crimes and look at the footage, like Most Critical, for example. You know, if he reacted to this, you know, he could see that, yeah, this was actually justified. Like, obviously. You know, he's an armchair critic, though. He isn't there, like, as a first responder, obviously, or even a bystander. So, again, this point that armchair critics are just, like, incredible. No, it's not so. I can't remember the opposite of, like, credible. Uncredible? I don't know, but basically the opposite of credible. But, you know, they're saying that they're like that is just false, because you can sometimes only grasp a situation based on that, and yeah, there are high tensions in this. I don't disagree, nobody does. I think you have to be stupid to disagree that there aren't high tensions in this situation. But again, for some of the actions and stuff, there are things that you have to consider. Of course, the officers were extraordinary, as that says. What's the next thing? Oh yeah, the London Jewish communities are scared. Zach Platsky is Jewish. So you're telling a Jewish person that Jewish people are under threat, which, yeah, they are. And that's unfortunately because of Israel. it's not because of the just fake anti-Semitism that we're seeing, because there is no proof of anti-Semitism in the UK. We haven't seen it. And as far as I know, attacks on Jewish people happen to be coincidental, because I'm pretty sure stabbings happen all the fucking time. This isn't the only case, as far as I'm aware. But I don't really look at the news because it's too fucking depressing. This is why I avoid it. It's all stupid. But this is no different, honestly. That's another strange thing. Free speech is an important facet of society, but against the backdrop of global highs and tensions, the right approach to this situation is to show compassion, our intentions, and not inflaming further by amplifying us, more us versus them rhetoric. I don't know. Like, people do need to have a calm mind, and that's one of the things we are lacking today. But you also can't really blame people. Ironically, what is the position of Mark Rowley here? Commissioner? QPM? What is a QPM? I don't know what a QPM is. It doesn't sound like too high of a thing anyway. What is a QPM? Because we have to look at it like this. King's Police Medal. Oh. Well, that's Queen's Police Medal, rather. Why does it come with a King's Police Medal when it's Q? So is King spelled with a Q now, like Queen? Queen and Queen, fuck's sake, no. But yeah, so also that's kind of a high position anyway. Given that that's probably an endorsement. And yeah, we do need a democratic society with a calm mind, but again, the way things are, if you're on the side of, like, for example, arresting protesters, you're actually amplifying the problems we're seeing, where you're amplifying the problem we saw here with a really dumb tweet. So of course people are going to fucking panic and maybe even just go on board with that sort of thing. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous that we're even here to begin with. But, if you've ever followed the Green Party and everything that they're doing around the country, and even Zach Polanski, you would know that he's often got quite a calm mind anyway. And this very much is reminiscent of human emotion, rather than what we're currently seeing, like, where it just feels like the society we're in is filled with monsters. Like, Jewish or not, unfortunately, because there are a fair amount of Jews, particularly those in Israel, who do encourage not just anti-Semitism, but also hatred against other religions, and even the non-belief religion. Like, we literally just saw, shortly after Gold Green, the Israeli person who attacked a Christian woman in broad daylight, and then people just stood there like nothing happened. That's quite dystopian. But again, this is what I mean. You can't be on the side of a democratic society and expecting people to be calm when, if you are contributing to it, again, arresting protesters and whoever it is, just asking for peace, to stop a genocide, then you're contributing to this. Unfortunately, you're making these problems up as you go along. There's often a consequence to your actions, and this is no different. Again, I probably sound like one of these armchair critics again, as they say, but this just really rings true of what's going on. Yeah, but to me it just seems like a simple mistake. So what else? Don't think there's anything else in this, because I agree with most things. Lowering intentions and, yeah, reassuring the public, but again, I have to question integrity here. Like, if you, again, the protester thing I have to go back to. You can't be arresting protesters just because they oppose a genocide. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. People even oppose the war in Iran, even though Iran is probably an evil country anyway, based on what I've heard. I could be wrong, but it's completely unjustified because they're not doing anything. Well, not anything too bad as far as I know. The only thing I've heard is that they provide Russia with arms, I think, but that's about it. Even then, not really worth it. And then what did Zach say anyway? We responded, apologise. Okay, the apology isn't here for some reason. But yeah, as I said, it's like, this is like one of the most minor but also slightly stupid mistakes you could make, I think. Because I think the idea is that he's looking out for someone who is mentally ill and someone who's not right in the head, but has a history of violence for some reason. But obviously we don't know that, and this is obviously like a spur of the moment sort of thing. That's what I mean, not heat of the moment, spur of the moment. Like, you see someone mentally ill, is obviously mentally ill, doing something like this. The immediate response is to show sympathy, because I don't think they actually know that what they're doing, or even but the harm they're doing. And this is kind of what happens. People just assume a lot, which is also a dangerous thing. Like, no matter who you are, assuming is kind of a dangerous prospect, especially if there's evidence of these things happening. But I think the best way to respond to the situation would have been to give it time. Like, I saw it and I thought, yeah, this sucks, I hate this stabbing. I saw the original, well, say original, it's like one of the follow-up tweets from Zach, and yeah, I did think that it's an awful situation to obviously have this go on the screen. I really do think that it probably would have been worth waiting, especially again in Zach's position. I think the problem is that he has quite a lot of time like on the go, because from what I understand of his work around the country, it's like he goes on a lot of trains and travels everywhere basically, just to do interviews, to do various meetings, and I think even meeting the public, and even just going to concerts as well. Like, this is the thing, I take from this the fact that he made a mistake, but this means he's more human. You know, what of all these other fucking politicians done, like all these leaders, MPs or whatever, what have they done? Exactly. How have they responded to it? Because I guarantee you there's going to be some story in the port saying attacks on Jewish communities are getting worse, and there's going to be some saying like, I really sympathise with the victims here and their families, like, thoughts and prayers. But you know, a lot of the time it just feels like they're not human, and honestly a response like this, again, spur of the moment, it does feel like it is just, it's normal in a way. Even though it's not the right thing to retweet, it's still just normal. It shows that there is humanity in Zach's mindset here. I think people can understand where he's coming from with this. But yeah, nobody can understand, obviously, the situation, the tension that obviously is coming from this. And I also think, like, one of the other things is you do have to look at the source of the issues as well. So whatever comes out in whatever investigation they're doing with this, it's probably going to be something, but the source is important too, because that's how you will understand what's going on, what the mindset is, what the danger is, or why it's even happened to begin with. I think that's probably what we're trying to look at a lot here. So I'm trying to think. I don't think there's really anything else to add. I've spoken about this for a while. I need to pretty much wrap up soon. Yeah, again, it just shows more humanity. It's not going to stop me from voting Green, because honestly, it's, as I've said before, they could do like 95% of the things right in in everything really. You know, they do 90% of the things right, 95, whatever it is. But for every 95% of the things they do right, 5% of the things will be wrong. And honestly, that's such a high bar that no other party can achieve it. It's fucking insane. But that's literally what we're looking at here. And that kind of shows that, yeah, like there really is no argument against Greens, even with this in mind. It's like, even if they post like casual racism, that's not going to fucking change a thing. It's not even going to change my vote, to be fair. Even though I do obviously criticise racism, the point is there's no other fucking party. And you have to go with the best one. It's as I've said with tactical voting. You need to agree that we have to disagree, essentially, and vote for someone who does things correctly. That's it. You have to vote with the most correct party there is, otherwise we get fucked by someone who's completely worse, completely incapable. Because that's how severe the scenario, the situation as well. Anyway, I want to look at these tweets as well. Tweets or blue skies, rather. What do you even call them? Skies? Blue skis? Reforms legislation doesn't actually seem to break criminal law, but it's almost certainly unconstitutional. I'm not an expert as far as I can see. Short threads. There's bloody sentences that are not really that. Probably the original. So Zia Youssef for reform. Yusuf. How the fuck do you even pronounce the last name anyway? Today we announced a new policy in order to deport illegal migrants in Britain. Reform will need to detain tens of thousands at a time. Migrants will not be able to leave these detention centres, and each will be held there a couple of weeks before being deported. So here's our promise. The Reform government will not put migrant detention facilities in any constituency with a Reform MP, nor will we put them where Reform controls the council, and the remaining areas we prioritise Green controlled parliamentary constituents and Green controlled councils to locate the detention centres. What? Put simply, if you vote Reform Council or Reform MP, we guarantee you won't have a detention centre near you. If you vote Green, there's a good chance you won't. This is an important exercise in democratic consent, not just our mass deportation policy, but for where the centres are placed. Given Zach Klansky openly advocates for open borders, I look forward to seeing their warm embraces policy. What? This is just fucking delusional. It's literally Trumpisms. What? This is exactly what I mean. They are the party that sided with Trump. And I said that because they literally proved themselves. They said all their policies before. They're going to do this. They're going to bring in ICE, and this is exactly what they said. And this is being said here. It's a new tweet. So again, they want to deport illegal migrants in like tens of thousands, put them in detention facilities, but not put them in detention facilities near Reform places, but Green places. Like, they want to actively fuck over the places where Green's obviously in control, which is also just inherently evil and wrong. Because they're basically looking to suppress voters here. This is what the plan is. They're doing the same as what the US are doing, and they're planning to get more people in detention facilities. So, other than keeping them for weeks at a time, which is also a human rights crime, because you're keeping them there for no reason other than trying to exist illegally. But if you're not actually doing something with them, like ICE is doing, where they're keeping them there, raping them, starving them, like, you're just being inherently evil. That's corruption. But again, putting them where the Greens are is just absolutely corrupt, and the council wouldn't even approve of it. In fact, it's so dangerous to fucking even suggest this. You're actually putting your own party in danger. This is how stupid it is. Because anyone Green is going to just fucking demolish it. The moment they see construction, it's gone. If they see construction for a detention facility, it's gone. Nobody's going to stand for it, and then when they come out with, I don't know, their tactical vests and shit, and they start taking these people to detention facilities, and also they're doing it because they think people of, obviously, illegal migrants or whoever it is, they think they're going to live in the Green Party places, but they're not. the reality is they can't even move. So if they're in a place where it's not by the Green Party, they can't move. Then how are you going to fucking deal with them? Like, it's so stupid. So Zia Yusuf, I don't know what, I don't even fucking know, I don't care. Too stupid to be an adult, that's all I know. So, yeah. But they're also like trying to pass this off to the Greens, saying that they're bringing the detention facilities, which is just fucking false. What the hell are we even looking at here? What the fuck? And as someone in the responses here says, it's copied from the Trump playbook, bullying attack constituencies and have at least support a greater divisive and hostile atmosphere across the country, but it doesn't work. By the way, this does not work, because in America, they're already resisting. There's already plans in place. You have to be really fucking blind to realise, or to rather to not realise, that there's already people out there who are being protected. So if you do put in a green place, you have like these people roaming the streets, people of obviously different ethnicity and being illegal migrants will be protected by the public. So you're already walking into dangerous fucking territory. And this only strengthens these other narratives, like, again, anti-Semitism and just hatred, like violence against anyone really, because that's going to happen more. And when people can identify one of these, or rather a few of these people working at these detention facilities, no doubt they're not going to get a good sleep, because that's what's going to fucking happen. People are going to get fed up of it, going to get tired of it. It's like if I go out to a restaurant, which I am planning to do in a few days' time, hopefully, and you know, one of these detention places, and like, I'm not sure what you call it, like Ice 2, I guess, call it Ice 2, but you've got them roaming the streets, and they suddenly arrest someone. It's like, well, nobody's going to fucking cheat you on, and in fact, people are probably going to free them. In fact, it's going to be a case where people don't really care, but they will pull you off them because they think it's a crime. And then we get the police call on you for Ice 2, and then Ice 2 gets arrested because there is no fucking justification for this, and it's literally a racially motivated crime, which, by the way, is protected. Like, as in, race is protected, so you can't actually be racist. So it's just fucking absolute bullshit. Don't get that. But then there's a Blue Sky boy. Is that HYPERSKY here? His response is quite funny. Reform took a £5 million donation. They're trying to distract you for just another establishment stooge. Like in Gorton and Denton, the only way to stop Reform on Thursday, vote Green. Pretty simple, to the point. And yeah, there's someone pointing out in the response that they're scared. Oh my god, what a fucking disaster. If we get another ICE as well, they will target anyone they want. Like, this doesn't just affect illegal migrants, because people think that it's something that stops illegal migrants, but it's not. It's literally to target whoever they want to commit very unjustified acts of, well, I don't know, crime, even just whatever their selfish motivation is. Like, a lot of ICE people will even dress up, or ICE 2, or whatever, like, depends. But a lot of people dress up like ICE just to kidnap people, to kidnap children, to fucking rape them. Like, this is the reality, and this is why I say Reform is the party of paedophiles, because this is what they are protecting. They're protecting people from doing this. Like, I was so tempted to spill some information about this, because it is really a shocking thing. But I do have information that, you know, even from a sane POV, there's so much wrong with this. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure when I should reveal it, but I don't know. It's like some very personal information that I know about someone. It's like, fucking hell. Anyway, I better move on, because it's really gone on long enough, but I didn't expect it to take this long. But it's 2 topics in one, so yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Sorry to talk about it again, but I feel like I need to talk about it because of just the amount of discourse there is. I saw a stupid tweet saying, rather Blue Sky post, so Blue Ski, I don't know what's going to fucking call it. We need to make up a term for that. There needs to be a big public post about that, or a vote. But yeah, there's a response to one of Zach Palansky's recent things about, I think Conservatives attacking, no, Reform attacking Greens. That was it. And someone saying in the comments, I'm not voting you because of what you said about Golders Green. It's so fucking petty. Like, why? Just why? It doesn't make sense. It's just fucking so dumb. And this person's comment saying, oh, I'm not voting Green because of the Golders Green thing. Why? Destroy UK in another way? I responded that, and it just got me wondering about what I would do if I was in Zach Palansky's situation. So if we look at like the history, for example, speaking about the Golders Green thing, if it is there, to be honest, there's quite a few posts that he makes and reposts and stuff. I'm trying to find it anyway. But yeah, the way I would respond to this, in terms of about Golders Green, with taking issue about a zero response and the retweet, I think that the way I would handle it is obviously to issue a proper apology in all the right places, to actually be completely honest and bold about it. So, you know, looking at the situation, I retweeted something, maybe using myself as an example, and saying, yeah, I retweeted this tweet by someone else saying that cops hitting a mentally ill person in the head with a weapon is bad. I really disagree with that tweet now upon reflection, and it was really a spur of the moment thing, and I apologise for that. I'm really sorry, and I do support the police in their decision here, their action. I can only wish the best for them and hope that anti-Semitism is on the decline within the next few months. Yeah, like, there's no doubt more I can add given the time, but it's quite silly given that people just look at this and think, oh, you're not perfect, I'm not voting you. This is why the country's going to shit. You know, I think, again, if I'm going to end my life with my mental health issues, it probably just doing something about reform, because that's probably one of the biggest problems. Or reform or Israel, it depends. They'll probably get Israel on board at some point, but doing something about them, probably one of the big priorities, and you know, also US if they ever come. It depends really. It's specifically about politics, but you know, again, if I'm going to kill myself, I might as well just do it the right way. But yeah, in a reform UK, especially with the detention centres they're threatening people with, there isn't much to really live for at that point. Like, truly, this country has gone to shit, and you know, anti-Semitism is on the rise because of Israel. We've seen this countless times now. Yeah, again, when one politician makes a mistake, it's like, oh, well, you're obviously not perfect, you're not suited for a political leadership role, are you fucking kidding me? Given Nigel Farage done much worse, taking a £5 million bribe, the Conservative leader being absolutely controversial, see the Labour we know, really bad policies and supporting Israel and stuff. Your party constant infighting, and I don't really know anything about the Independent Party, is it? I can't remember, but I don't really know anything about them. Your party though, I've already said actually. What's the other one? Lib Dems, that's it. Basically they're doing nothing. I remember seeing a video from them a while ago on TikTok is when I was watching TikTok. And they're just not doing anything. Their entire TikTok was like a nothing burger. It's like you should vote the Dems if you're a leftist, and I'm like, no. You need to explain your policies. Explain yourself. It's the bare minimum at this point, but they didn't do that. So again, by process of elimination, it's going to be the Greens again who win the vote. It's just the most logical answer here. As I said, I think the response from Zach is also kind of damaging to the party, so it's like, I don't know, -2 points or whatever. It really depends. I think people with an actual head on their shoulders would look at this and see the obvious mistakes. You know, still criticise them, obviously. That's probably the only thing I'd say. If the gold or green thing comes up again, I will point it out. I will say in my response, like, yeah, you know, I really appreciate what you're doing, Zach, but you need to actually issue a proper apology, explain why it's wrong, right? Sympathise with the police officers and victims. Obviously, it does. But you know, properly explain yourself, why you're apologising, why what you said is wrong, well, not said, but retweeted, and explain that it was a spur of the moment thing, which everyone could pretty much read anyway. Yeah, don't really know what else to add, but that's essentially it. There isn't anything else to say here, to be honest. It's really that simple of a situation. Doesn't really take an extremely intelligent head to figure out what's wrong here and what can be done differently. Anyway, I really need to be all. I'm so fucking behind on things already. Need to do 35 minutes of music somehow in an hour. It sounds weird to say, but my health is obviously, and my mind is just all over the fucking place. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. So you might as well make this the political podcast episode. Now, the elections are the 7th of May, and that's in 3 days' time as of this recording. And today, obviously, Reform announced the concentration caps, and you know, this has me concerned for a lot of different reasons. And I decided to look at their page, and there is some really weird things going on with Reform at this point. Because I decided to go into Facebook, which I've been on a fucking long time. I hate being on it. But I had a look, and they are just completely delusional. No matter where you look, like the photos are filled with both old and young guys who are, for some reason, fanboying over Farage, and it almost looks AI. And then you got weird posts like this, like, we are going to give Labour the fright of their lives. Ghost train. What the fuck even is this? Sounds AI. Looks a bit AI as well. It's so fucking weird. So they're doing a campaign to go against Labour or something? Reform FC or a football club, I guess? What the fuck? It's just delusional. What's the 10 even mean on it? It's so weird. And then they made a post saying 800 illegals came into Britain over the weekend. Over 71,000 have invaded since Starmer took power. The Home Office is paying up to $15 billion to house these people for over 10 years. For Reform to end this madness. Like what? Like, where is this even coming from? There's no source. Like, literally I can report this. I'm going to report it. It's literally misinformation. So, let's see. How do you even report misinformation? False information, there it is. Showing false information. There we go. Hopefully they do something about it. Don't want these idiots going here. And there's Farage signing shirts for some reason. 3 days to get Starmer out. What? That's not how the fucking elections work. Like, maybe I'm misunderstanding something, but that's not how they work. You know, it's 3 days until the votes actually start to get tallied, and then I think we get the results at a later point, if I'm not mistaken. And, yeah, but you're not getting Starmer out because I think you need like a group vote to do that, and even then, certain people won't even allow that. And then you have to replace him with a Labour politician to do it. Where if you ever get a Labour MP in there, or something, or politician leader, or whatever. But then, of course, they got the 7 hours ago post, which was like this morning, and they're saying that they've announced a new policy, and I've already read this. It's delusional, and they're blaming it on Zach. One of the things I'm quite happy about is a lot of the comments are just taking the piss out of them, even the reform voters. So there's actually a few things here. They've apparently written a bill, which is funny. Well, they've actually taken this seriously, which is fucking insane. Someone says, Siri, show me what politics would sound like if run by children. Yep. Literally, it really sounds like that. It's like they're fighting over playground territory, essentially. That's what it is. And someone's saying it sounds like something from a comedy, literally. Is this a spoof? Sounds like something that Trump would say. 100%. Can we all put all reform voters in a constituency too? I think that's a joke. What is constituency again? I need to remind myself. I've been too tired recently. Constituency of Parliament, like in the body of waters of residents of the district represented by the elected registrator. Hey? I don't know what that means. I'm not going to like that. Someone saying this is utter genius? No. Unless it's like the opposite way, I don't know. Will they be made to wear stripy pyjamas as well? Oh god, weird fact about that. I don't know how it even happened, but it became one of my favourite movies of all time, The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. It's like incredibly sad and depressing. I don't even know why I liked it so much. It's kind of like a bit of an adventure. It's like the kid who was going around the UK for some reason. Was it UK or was it Germany? I can't remember where it was actually. But yeah, it had one of the saddest endings like ever to a series, and yeah, that's where the stripy pyjamas things come from. Let's say another comment saying, so what you're saying is you're going to concentrate them in certain areas in a cap. Yikes. Yeah. And someone saying, this took me. Unfortunately though, Farage will go the same way as Trump if he's successful as, and that's rogue. Leaving his base flabbergasted, wondering what on earth just happened. These elites have got Farage right where they want him. Just wait and see. And the saying goes, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You know the rest. Exactly. Yeah, pretty much this is a textbook. This shit, it's like kinda nuts. So the next thing, fair enough, but if I was a candidate in the Green Party, I'll be proposing all constituencies voting reform be covered with solar farms and wind turbines too could play that game. So yeah. Yep, that's actually a good idea. That'd be quite funny actually. If they come out saying that, that'd be brilliant. Someone's saying I thought this was a Monty Python sketch. No, I don't know whether to laugh or not. To laugh or cry, rather. Supportive reform, I've read all this. It sounds a bit desperate for votes and is actually viable, and reform actually replied to this. Yes, we have a policy paper and a bill written to pass in Parliament. We are serious about deporting every single illegal immigrant. Yikes. It is absolutely not viable, though. Like, contrary to what they're saying. They didn't even say it was viable, that's the other thing. So, they're unrealistically asking for Parliament to pass a vote on exporting illegal immigrants and even allowing for caps, but this just won't happen. And someone says, get this idea from Mein Kampf, did you? Yep, sounds about right. Now this is a declaration. I can hear the civil rights lawyers rubbing their hands ordering the next oat milk coffee. Don't know what you mean by that. Yeah. And then you get the delusional comments as well. Basically, if you vote green, you get what you asked for. Not really. Like, that's more like a red herring. Not that this idiot would know what it is. Because yeah, it's like a concentration camp, or well, this shit. A detention centre is basically a concentration camp, and you know, that basically means they're just holding people there for no reason. It's like a prison, basically. But they're holding them there, waiting to deport them, with nothing else in between. So, no, that is not what the Greens want, you complete idiot. The Greens want open borders, but in terms of, you know, integrating immigrants, that's not really the priority either. So, again, it's a red herring and a straw man at the same time. Again, you're pointing at something else, and then you're also arguing a different argument. So it's just stupid. Someone else wrote something. We stuck our idea through ChatGPT and put it on that head. Yeah, pretty much. Just really fucking weird. And someone saying it's April Fools. Someone's saying they're fucking Royal Navy veterans, saying that they'll join up for ICE, which is fucking delusional. Jesus Christ. Someone saying, just imagine being scared of greed is actually gross having to threaten to get votes. Yeah, that's what's going on, but it's so dumb. What else? As they said, they actually shared a post before this. If you vote Green, you will get detention sentences in your local area. If you vote Reform, you won't. Common sense. Like, what? So, this is the other thing as well. Like, they literally disprove themselves. They don't want the detention centres, and yet they're putting them in areas where people would actually want them to protest as well, to like get rid of them as well. People are going to be stopping it too. Like, that's actually fucking ridiculous. What the hell? This is what I mean with this bullshit. And they keep pulling this number out their arse with immigrants coming in illegally, obviously, to the UK. Like, what the fuck is going on? This party is literally just Trump 2.0. And yeah, like, I imagine I'd write a letter to, well, if Reform win here, I will write a letter, obviously. I'll explain like the problems, because if they ignore it, then there's going to be issues, and yeah, I'm going to dangle the noose in front of my head, because I fucking need to actually get my point across here. Because this is basically what's happening in the world. You are killing people, not just migrants and immigrants. You're also killing foreigners, you're killing tourists, and you're also going to kill the minorities, the minority voters as well. But again, people like me. So, you know, myself being disabled and also being part of the LGBTQ+, which is not my choice, by the way, it's literally a fact, can't change it, then yeah, you're just going to genocide us, essentially, and that's obviously illegal by international law. It's illegal by even UK standards, as it is currently. And then people just find it immoral. Like, oh, you wonder where that doctor went. Like, oh, there's no doctors anymore. Where have they gone? Oh, there's mass graves out there. Who are they? Oh, there's a fucking lesbian, there's a fucking gay guy. Wait, they're doctors? Why do we kill them then? Like, that's literally what's going to happen. It's just fucking stupid. As usual. Expect nothing less from Reform. But yeah, it would be surprising if they do win despite this, because it's such a dumb idea, and then people would want the detention centres in their fucking backyard anyway, in Reform areas. So, what is this even doing? Where the fuck even is this coming from? The idea that it's a big, like, fuck you to the Greens to put detention centres on Green Council land, which, by the way, you need council permission to do. So, what the fuck is going on? It just seemed absolutely nuts to me, and this is like a Trump delusion at this point. It really doesn't surprise me. What the fuck is going on? So yeah. I think what happens. Yeah, so I don't really know what else to say. Like, I'm not really in shock, but it's just not surprising at this point, and it's just, again, petty. It's like playground antics. You can tell like Reform and the Reform base hasn't actually grown up at all. And yeah, that really proves the point. Yeah, I already have depression, but more of it, not sure. But you know, at this point, there's nothing that can make me more depressed because there's already enough going on in the world. Just fed up as it is at the fucking moment. Yeah, I'm sick and tired. And the world is going to shit. No surprise. But yeah, guess I need to move on now because I think I need to shit, which is annoying. Yeah, it's just to warn people: don't vote Reform. Vote anyone else but Reform, but especially vote the Greens because they're the only ones who are going to stop this shit. Going to stop their stupidity and everyone else's. So, yeah. Excuse me if I'm out of breath, but also this is a pace breaker. I just did some exercise and yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond because I finally beat the first gym leader, and you know, it's about the same as Platinum, but there are great quality of life in it. So I do like the map navigation, I like the use of Pokeballs, like it tells you the effectiveness tracker. But there's so many different things about this game that I actually do like, which I know ironically weren't impacted by the reviews. I'll see. Graphically, there are parts that do make me question it, like obviously the textures and the polys. There's still parts of that which are bad. Animation wise, it's better. Obviously, Platinum. Because my biggest problem with Platinum, other than the just, you know, the garbage with, what do you call it? Like pixel graphics. I don't really like pixel graphics that much. I can tolerate them, but I can't enjoy them, I don't think, the way that other people do. It's just weird because I grew up with pixel graphic games like Sonic. I suppose I just can't get used to it, and yeah, it kind of leads me on to issues with the graphics of that. But 3D wise, it's good. It's just the average Pokemon game, but low graphics, obviously, which I think are questionable and obviously not tolerable in this day and age. It's a bit shit. Yeah, having beat the first gym leader again, it gives me an idea of what to look forward to. There's like animations there. I think there's additions as well. I don't remember some of the animations. I can't remember what the animation was. Like the versus animation, maybe. I don't remember that. It's great visual stuff too. So you can see like the Pokeball effects, I noticed. And also, I've discovered things that I didn't even know on Platinum originally, like being able to fish, which, well, led me to a magic op, which I obviously will level up. Yeah, but I've had some fun with this so far. I will say it's not the best game, obviously, but it's enjoyable enough that I can play through it. So where do I start even? Wild encounters still have the annoying issue where obviously you can't see them. For some reason they removed that feature in this, I don't know why. Because seeing the Pokemon in the wild was pretty cool, but they've removed it here, so I don't know. Well, they still haven't updated it, so I don't know what they're doing there. Questionable design choice, given that they've added fairy and other type changes to this, so I don't really get it. What's another thing? The menu and UI is obviously much more improved, I think. I don't dislike it. It's definitely tolerable. It's not the best one though, it's just good. Yeah, I'm going through the Pokédex as well. Like, I think it's good enough. I don't know what to look for exactly. Like, seeing like different Pokemon, apparently I encountered a Kricketot. I don't remember encountering that. I've encountered quite a few different Pokemon actually, which is quite interesting. You can scroll by page. Maybe not. Encountered quite a few. But yeah, I've also caught some. How do I go into my bag, my Pokemon PC? What Pokemon? Nope. Well, I don't know where the PC is now, which is annoying. But I suppose I could see what I caught. Obviously I picked Gym again. I did almost consider Torterra, whatever you call them, but maybe not, and maybe even like Piplup I did consider briefly. I only realised today that it's sort of a good type matchup against, what's his name? Garchomp. Yeah. But I think that's only because of the moves and maybe the speed. Could be wrong. I'm interested to see how the Zympia fight goes. But I caught Starly, and then I caught Bidoof. I caught Shinx. Caught Abra somehow, by some fucking miracle, first Pokeball throw. Abra's usually very difficult to get, so I'm surprised by that. And then I fished up a Magikarp. And then I've got a Zubat, because I thought maybe I do need a Pokemon with different typing to Starly. So I decided Zubat might be the best option. And then I got Geodude. I found out there's one with Sturdy. I didn't realise, actually I forgot rather, that Pokemon abilities are quite good. And my Luxray to be Luxio or whatever has, was it Intimidate, obviously. But I'm not using Geodude. I also caught an Onix. I finally got that. Very annoying to capture. I killed it on the first try by accident, then only a few encounters later I got it. And then I caught a Machamp, which I didn't even know you could catch in the upper regions of, where is it, the town, Orville, is it? But my team is currently Monferno, Zubat, Bidoof, Luxio, Magikarp and Abra. So I'm quite confident about it, to be honest. I'm not massively confident, to be fair, but it's good enough, I think. It will be handy to have these different types. I think Zubat might be helpful for the fairy types where they exist. So Monferno will be handy for addressing multiple things. Magikarp might be good. Abra I'm not sure, hoping there's a trade. Luxio will keep, I think, until the end of the game because it's the only electric Pokemon I have. And when I get the Eevee, I think I'll have to get a Leafeon. I've never had a Leafeon, I don't think. But I'd be quite interested in building Leafeon for that. I keep forgetting to look at the stats, so what am I looking at? Zubat? No, Monferno. Just a good attacker and speed, so training into that probably better. I don't know how you train it though. Never done EVs and IVs in a core game like this, other than Gen 6 and 7. God, I said it. Oh, kill me. Zubat seems to be heavy into speed and normal attack. Bidoof heavy into normal attack and special defense. HP, I've got HP as well. Luxio attack, HP and speed. Yeah. Oh, that's a ugly Magikarp. Ew. That's a 9 special attack, level 12 by the way. 9 attack, 13 special defense, 17 defense but down because of the IVs I believe, and 25 speed. Ability Swift Swim, I don't know what that is actually. Piece of Pokemon speed, stat and rain. Oh, interesting. Look, interesting the abilities actually, I never really looked at them. Yeah, I guess it's interesting, yeah. But I'm enjoying it, yeah, has to be said. I don't dislike it. And now I've got Rock Smash, I will explore a bit more, I will encounter more Pokemon. And the other thing, XP share is fucking amazing. Like, it really is a good thing. I don't know why people dislike it, because it changes the game so well. I don't know what I'd do without XP share at this point. It is insane how good it is. And I just really like having it. It's just so much better than anything else. Anyway, what's game share? Never noticed this on Nintendo Switch before. No, let's ignore that. Pretend I didn't see it. Yeah, I just like it. Yeah, it's just the review I can give it. It's gaming review. Uh, I think over time I'm going to get more used to it, and it's going to be better. Um, but yeah, like it's decent. I can't dislike it. I can't even like not recommend it because it's just good. Uh, and also, I'd say ignore the reviews because I think whatever you're going to like and dislike will just become apparent later. I think if you've got nostalgia, maybe avoid it because platinum is probably still best for you in your case. But if you don't like the grinds and stuff, like I don't, then yeah, if I went, then this was going to be better. Um, and yeah, my time at the moment is 2 hours 24 minutes, but that's like over the course of like a month, and I've only been able to play it a few times because I've just used my Switch when exercising. I can't really be bothered to play it in between, but it's a good motivation to exercise because it gets me concentrating. It's not a high sort of what do you call it, high maintenance sort of game. It's not like Final Fantasy 14 where you need a lot of focus sometimes and then very little, but it's quite accessible. I did struggle defeating Geodudes actually with Monferno because of the high defense stat that I think Geodude has. Because I don't think it's very, it's very resilient rather towards, attack moves. So that is a bit annoying. And also sturdy ones when they appeared, I didn't realise they existed. They became a bit annoying. But yeah, like, again, it's just reasonable. I can't complain. I like this game. That's it. End of argument. So anyway, I better cook dinner soon. So let's move on. Here's another thing to break up the political shitstorm is hitting the nation, the UK basically. But only hitting Netherlands as well. It's like an uprising in the fascists. Which is really disappointing because I always took the Netherlands to be quite a peaceful place. Not really many issues. Because I haven't really heard any issues from Netherlands. It's the first. But no, I wanted to talk about something else. And it's something I only just remembered. I had never actually intended to be a guitarist. Like, fun fact, I didn't really consider myself becoming one at any point, and that was only because even though I liked rock and metal music at the time, well, basic metal music, heavy metal, thrash, 80s basically, I never really intended to get into it as in play it. I was quite happy listening to it myself, and I ended up deciding, you know what, I'll play it. But that was only after like a lot of deliberation because I thought I really enjoyed Guitar Hero when I first played that ever around a friend's house. Also happened to be the friends who, well, did something. I'm not saying which, but it's half traumatising, half weird. I will say that. Say it was a big A, but the other thing, yeah, I played it there. I played the drums. And I was thinking, like, maybe I want to become a drummer instead. Maybe that'd be better. But then I realised I actually really like how the guitar sounds, and that really sparked my interest in it above all else. So the intention wasn't actually to rather become a guitarist, but was to learn about guitar and also enjoy it. So that ended up being my sort of course of action there. And I guess what ended up happening is instead I looked into it. I asked a friend even as well. That's one of the few IRL friends I still had at the time. This is like back in 2014, I believe. I can't remember what it was now. What if you could see when games were added? So 2014. Is that Ings info? Release date 2013. Doesn't help. Properties. Nope. Does not say. No. Okay, that's annoying, but oh no, it probably won't be there. I say I ordered it off Amazon, I think, at the time. But yeah, I ordered it thinking 2013, and the same with like a cheap guitar. I was thinking this would be a waste of money, but at least it isn't too much money, you know. It's about £80 in total or something, which isn't too bad, all things considered, with the cable, with the guitar, and obviously the game itself, which was for Steam. So it wouldn't be a big loss if I didn't enjoy it, and well, obviously that proved me wrong. I did enjoy it, even though it was really hard to play with that guitar. But yeah, I just found it funny that there's never a consideration of mine to play guitar. I was actually thinking more piano because I liked 80s music. And I sort of decided against that because piano looked bloody complicated, whereas the guitar looks a bit simpler, as I view it as like frets versus a keyboard, which can go up to 81 keys. So that ended up being the sort of reasoning, which is very interesting. Um, yeah, like, what do I even add here? It's just what happened, I think. I ended up being a guitarist instead, and I stuck to it. Even though I showed my friends that I could play guitar as well, multiple times. I could sort of play it anyway. I was only in that Def Leppard at the time, which is quite easy compared to other stuff. Although there were challenges in there. I was also trying the Iron Maiden, a bit of Metallica too, wherever I could, CDLC. But yeah, it's through Rocksmith, obviously, if that isn't obvious enough. Only way I could play it. Yeah, I just really took off with that. I only played bass later, I think like 2017. That's around the time when I started making custom DLC myself, and I actually really enjoyed bass. It's kind of a surprise, really, that I did actually enjoy bass, because I wasn't expecting anything from it, but the thing I realised instantly with bass was I just didn't mingle with some of the arrangements. It's like, oh my god, this is so boring, I could already play with some guitar, so why don't I just look for better bass arrangements? And I did, and I found them. A lot of old game soundtracks actually have some great bass lines. That's the weird thing. Old, like, early 2000s 3D games and below retro games can have really good bass too. Yeah, like those have aged incredibly well. And that definitely set off my interest in bass too. So yeah, it's just a strange journey. Yeah, I felt like sharing it, because it's just an unusual thing, and again, I only just remembered. I was never actually intending to become a guitarist, but what do you know? It ended up happening anyway. So, yeah, I stuck with it. And I think there were even points where I was like doubting myself too. That's the bigger thing from this. I don't think I was ever expecting to, well, stick with it. I don't think anyone was actually, to be fair. Given how quickly I can drop hobbies anyway and interests. But that actually stuck with it somehow. For quite a few years straight. I did have breaks between, obviously, more in the 2020s. I just stopped playing guitar altogether. Crazy that's been like 13 bloody years. It just doesn't feel like that long now. Fucking hell, what? I'm turning into my grandparents and shit, like, where's the time gone? Literally, where has it gone? It's just insane to me. It still feels like I'm learning it, and that's the other weird thing about guitar. Because even though I've pretty much learned every technique there is, even new ones, like I've discovered a way to play it fretless, without obviously using fretless guitar. But I'm still thinking, like, I'm still learning it in a way. I'm still learning like scales, still learning how to play by ear. In fact, I can do that for the most part. Yeah, it's been such an interesting journey. I don't think I'll probably ever give it up. I think I still got lots to learn with music in general. But yeah, it's enjoyable, and it's still something I could probably recommend. Once you get a proper guitar and proper equipment too, like, you only need like a mini amp. I've got the power grid and it's fucking amazing. Not sure if you can get a metronome on there. You probably can, given it's a speaker. Yeah. Well, it doubles as a speaker rather. I'm pretty sure it does anyway. Yeah, either way, I better move on. That was interesting. Yeah. What I'm about to bring up is an extremely dark topic, because that is what it's about. And it feels like the world is just going to shit. It's getting darker by the day. We're seeing no sign of, well, no light rather, at the end of the tunnel. And we're just losing hope. It's just happening a lot. Yeah, a lot of things have been happening in the last 6 years alone. Obviously, starting with COVID being a big one, like confining people to homes, where we knew the economy was going to get worse, and it did. And people seem to have forgotten that because people were unable to work, that then inflated the economy. There's no supply, so there couldn't be any demand. But as if that wasn't bad enough, we're struggling with the cost of living now. So, have that. And then things started happening, like escalating in other countries. So, Israel picked a war with Palestine, even though it's not really a war, it's a genocide. We know this because it's been documented and it's in journals rather, or by journalists, articles by journalists, also videos. And there's also Ukraine versus Russia. And then in an even crazier turn of events, when we thought, oh, it's just these two things happening in the world and a few bad things, Trump gets elected a president. Like, what? And then in the UK, we also get betrayed by the Labour government at the same time, pretty much. So we had that going on. Still recovering from COVID, by the way. And now we're in such a dire moment in the fucking history of the world, I think, anyway, that I just don't know what the fuck we can even do at this point. Originally I was going to say that we need to name and shame everyone who pushed this forward, who pushed for the destruction of the world, because this is what is happening. But I don't know if that would even matter, because what world are we going to be on? Look, I don't see us getting through this, to be honest, and that's worrying. But yeah, other than the wrong people getting elected in the wrong place, it seems, as well. You also got ICE happening, that shit in America, and prices going up, and corruption being so blatant in, obviously, the White House. Trump being a complete moron, the fake assassination attempts, it seems. Yeah, like so many things escalating in the US, including like obviously character attacks towards like Democrats and Joe Biden, obviously. And then obviously later on Venezuela, one of the big things happening. So everything's still going on the side with Russia and Ukraine and obviously Palestine and Israel, but it seems like the US has got tensions as well, and they started a war with Venezuela that they quickly ended when they, I think, kidnapped the leader or something. I can't remember what happened exactly. And that war was seemingly forced because they blew up a boat and said, well, we hate you now, we're going to war. That's the reason. There wasn't any actual proof of what they're saying they're doing. It's like apparently drugs, but nobody saw that. But it's just so fucked in so many different ways. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, they decided they want a war with, well, Iran. I can't remember if there was any in between. Maybe forgetting. Also got this controversy with the US basically doing shit with other countries, obviously making places in the UK dealing to Israel. UK also protesting against Israel because of Palestine was population, not the government. But the government is doubling down on that, suppressing that, and also telling us that there's an immigration problem and a rise in anti-Semitism as recently. But then obviously Trump and Israel decided to go against Iran. Yay. What a wonderful time to be born and alive. Not really. So yeah, got so many fucking things going on. It's just such an injustice. But yeah, the war's still going on as far as I know, and got some of the most frustrating news from there as well. Obviously, other than the Reform today, there's also apparently Iran provoking tensions by attacking the. Oh, is it AB? No, UAE. I think. I can't remember the bloody name, I'm sorry. But basically, place where Dubai is. Let's call it that. Sorry. But they're now escalating tensions by attacking them. And that's Iran, by the way, not the US. And also Israel targeting Lebanon, I've almost forgotten. Also the South Sudan thing, how do I forget that? South Sudan versus, I forgot the other places, it's just South Africa. I can't remember, so again, sorry on the details. But so many things have happened in history in just a short amount of time, which is like 3 years, by the way. I think it's like 3 years since this all started, and it's just fucking insane. Absolutely unbelievable. I really do not understand why this is happening. It just makes no sense. And it's stuff that doesn't need to happen. It shouldn't happen for that matter. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? I don't understand what amount of corruption can lead you to thinking you can waste people's lives like this, you can waste soldiers' lives, you can waste resources like this. It's just inherently corrupt. And yes, I hope people die. It just goes without fucking saying at this point. You're all fucking us over. You're killing us. Everyone's worried, everyone's scared. What do you fucking expect? This is why I made the topic in the previous episode about why you should look away from that sort of shit. Because this is what's happening. It doesn't matter like who gets fucking assassinated at this point. It's literally a free-for-all. Because nothing's happening. Nothing's changing that's any good in any cities. Nothing's changing about the situations that have happened for the last 3 or 4 years. Like, it's not changing in the slightest. And even though we have evidence that Russia are losing the war against Ukraine, it still leaves me worried about other places where there's tensions, like places increasing surveillance, like UK and US, and also apparently China, I believe. Also, like South Korea changed, which is good, but I'm also hearing that they may be on about the downturn, and we could have misheard it though. But also North Korea still exists, which is a shame. But like, there's also the tensions where China and what's the other country that's supporting Russia? North Korea, that's it. I'm an idiot. Yeah, it's North Korea. But you know, China and North Korea are supporting Russia. Again, what the fuck is even going on? I don't understand this. And then also another crazy thing. Apparently, there's like the other day a 90-minute conversation between Trump and Putin. I imagine there's like a translator, but like, this is what I mean. This is why I say protests are essentially just pissing in the wind at this point. You know, it's not even nothing. I think it grabs people's attention and it definitely convinces them. But at this point, action is just far more favourable. And I think that's probably what needs to happen, especially with the dangers around the corner, with technology being king in terms of warfare. Essentially no one's safe. Like, you never fucking know. There could be just like a kill switch, as in kill and, well, it's a switch obviously, but it actually kills you. But we never know. And our mistrust of like science and vaccines just goes far worse. Like, it's getting worse and worse because people are just becoming more ill and more untrustworthy of things. And you know, with the recent thing about Reform today, saying that they'll build detention camps in the Green MP areas, which is stupid as well, because there's sometimes Reform voters in these areas, which is just like, yeah, there's a lot of Reform voters in these areas, rather, but it's so fucking dumb. These are the sort of people that are just going to ruin the world. You know, I think getting your own country's sort of situation under control is probably a priority, but we also do need to care about other affairs. So, you know, if I was a UK Prime Minister, I would stop supplying weapons to Israel and start supplying them to to Ukraine, and also I would get people into Palestine to actually address the situation. So, I'd actually send soldiers and forces there to deal with it because nobody else is. And I'd break UN law, I'd break NATO code, I'm breaking international law, to be clear. But I'll do something about it, that's for sure, like push them back, get somewhere. But this is what I'd do if I was Prime Minister of the UK. Yes, obviously I could be wrong, I'd get an expert to be clear on this. Because I wouldn't do it just willy-nilly, that's dangerous, that's fucking deadly. But I'd have to understand the risk, and if there's like a risk of like, we've got the same technology, it's like if we go to war with each other, it's like, yeah, that's going to be a clusterfuck. But, the point is protecting innocent people. The other thing, I'd also stop allowing US to essentially put their bases here, and I'd also stop surveillance. I'd do everything the Greens are doing. I'd also be a Green Prime Minister at that point. So I'd do everything by, obviously, the ruling of the Greens, but with experts to weigh in on things too. Obviously, wealth tax, get the country under control. Also, probably put a lot of money into the military because it is a big thing at the moment. There's a big problem. There would be sacrifices soundly to be made, but people, I think, would understand that. Because we can't have a stable country without a safe country. That's pretty much goes without saying. Could be wrong. But again, this is why I want an expert. What's the other thing? As well as another thing. I can't think. What is the other? I can't remember now. I guess like I'd obviously block things from happening with like refund voters. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the rules are on that sort of thing. I don't know how you can overlook voters and, well, not voters, I mean, but MPs and stuff, and like control communities. Because if there is like injustices here and there, which become unjustified, obviously by being an injustice, then there's something that needs to be done there. But that's essentially what I'll do as Prime Minister. I'll also open borders. I'll try to rejoin the EU. So obviously to reverse Brexit, the effects of Brexit. So kind of more affordable stuff then, cut bills. Also have more migrant workers as well, which would be pretty good. Also make sure I ease tensions with people who are against that. Yeah, my throat's going weird, so sorry if I randomly choke or cough. Not something I can control. But that's like, even just UK Prime Minister, and you know what I'd do if I was anyone else. If I was Israel, I'd stop doing wars, I'd start repaying the consequences of what I've done. So yeah, basically in Israel, for all the damages I've done, I'll probably reverse everything. I'd give money towards, a lot of money and resources to the countries where it happened, and also the weapons. Like, let's be fair, we shouldn't have them. Yeah, if I was Israel, I know that I have too much power in my hands. That goes without saying. And even though the population might disagree with it, tough shit. You can't justify genocide with religion, and you can't keep using the anti-Semitic narrative because that's just weak. It doesn't work either. It's not even a reliable statement either. That's the thing. What else? US, I think I need to address as well. As obviously the bigger player here. Ukraine, I won't really change anything, to be honest. I do think there's some maybe laws to iron out. Obviously, one of the biggest things I heard with Ukraine actually was that there weren't good, laws for LGBTQ plus people. I think that was like mainly marriage. Sorry about that. Let's do it. But yeah, it's not really anything else I'd change other than maybe toning down on AI, because I heard Zelensky was using killbots essentially now. Not proper killbots, but drones, but apparently turning them into killbots eventually. I'll probably tone down on that until Russia shows us, or we get intel on it. But I won't bother. Like, it's not worth it. Dooming humanity for the sake of saving a country, nah. Like, I have to admit, it is a bit weak. I could be wrong. I'm willing to be proven wrong. It's like obviously a conversation I can have. Obviously an expert as well. Probably need that too to explain it. But yeah, US. So obviously, if if I was Trump, I'd just kill myself. Because fuck this world. Nobody deserves a con like Trump, but, you know, if I'm not Trump, then I guess I'd obviously put everything right. I'd stop all the ICE detention facilities. I'd take away all the military from other countries where we've obviously put ourselves, and pay for the wars that we've obviously have damaging impact on. So obviously like Iran and Venezuela need support. Palestine as well. That's obviously help with that. But again, helping the American economy, so I'd start directing resources. A wealth tax, obviously. Definitely do a wealth tax, because I think it's probably the only country that can probably implement it without billionaires running away, even though they can't actually run away. I think if you have your company making record-breaking profits, with the majority of the money going to again the CEO, then, you know, obviously that money needs to just go to the government, because it's just fucking stupid. Like, all goes to this one person who gets the profit of it for no reason other than number go up. Like, we haven't actually ever had a good reason why billionaires get the money they do from the profits. So I'd obviously help with that and use the money to actually reverse the damages they do. So proper healthcare, I'd also have that, because that's a big problem in the US. I'd also have proper education, proper green energy for obviously the states that want it, because to be honest there's going to be some that don't, and we can't really change that. Try to implement better LGBT plus laws as well. Racial rights, women's rights. Obviously there's a lot of different things. I'll do this for the UK as well, just to be clear. Also help with fuel prices. That's a big thing as well, because of the war offsetting it now. You're going to be interested in like the here and now rather than, well, a few years ago. But it would have been different anyway, it would have been less. But I'll do everything I can. Stop funding like military equipment to fund rebuilding places. I'll still have a fund for the military, but not to the extent that it goes into war crimes like it is now. What's the other thing? Yeah, really see Epstein files, obviously. Fucking might as well. Assuming the other one's long gone. You can't have a rant about it or cry about it on Truth Social. I didn't know, weird fact, I didn't actually know that Truth Social was a, let me look up Truth Social. Yeah, I didn't actually know there's a separate platform. Because I thought it was just X. I thought people were mocking it, saying that X is like the Truth Social, but it's actually Truth Social. Like, it's fucking weird. Truth Social, America's big tech social media platform that encourages an open, free, honest global conversation without discriminating on the basis of political identity. Yikes. That is bad. It's owned by Trump Media. Oh, that fucking explains it. Like, come on. He's posting on his own platform with his own voice. Like, that explains a fucking lot. If he was anywhere else, he'd be banned by now. That's probably why he's not allowed on X, because he'd be undressing too many girls with Grok. Underage girls, I mean. Yeah, again, I don't really know what else I could address in the US. There's probably a lot of things like voters' rights to keep them in place. It might even be worth like bringing states together to discuss a stronger constitution as well, because I obviously need to learn about that if I haven't already. But making a stronger constitution so shit like what Trump has done is preventable is probably crucial. That's probably like the first thing we should do. So there should be like an authority that deals with corruption and basically overthrowing a government for said corruption, if there is pretty much apparent. Obviously secret trading, and there'd be like an emergency election like within 30 days, I guess, with obviously the corruption authorities dealing with government issues. So if there's a war, they'll deal with that. But basically it's like a body that takes over government if necessary. So it's like an if rather than can. So they can't just randomly do it. It's like, oh, you're no longer president. Cheers. But literally just a stronger authority. That's what I'd write into the constitution as well. And also if the corruption's authority is corrupted, then they can't accept donations. That's the other thing. Get paid a fair wage, but no donations. That's the other thing. And they actually can give orders to the military. So there's like direct action there as well. So if a government does go rogue, or a police department or something, basically acts like I could be wrong. Is it National Guard? I don't know. I could be wrong on that. It basically acts like that. They're like stronger authority than the police, and somewhere in between, like the military, maybe. Yeah. I'll say something like that would be crucial, and there's ways around it. Again, you need an expert. I'm not saying this because I think it's obviously a great idea. I'm saying it because I want to discuss it. And when I get obviously the opinions on it and the voices, it'll make sense. And also I had a democratic vote on the constitution as well, like rewriting it. And also having to make sure it's not tone deaf as well. And I think the other things with being a leader as well, I have to mention this. I wouldn't want all the fucking money from it. Like, fuck off. That's what leads to corruption. That's the problem to begin with. Just all the money that you can get from this, from payments by billionaires or just the position itself, it won't outweigh doing good deeds for the entire country and the entire population. Like, fuck, imagine if you can be elected in multiple places at once. You know, get tons of money, but I wouldn't even use it for bad. I'd use each thing for countries where it's relevant. I'd take my home country's money if I was leader there, but if I somehow became leader for somewhere else, like, you know, I'd use that money, all the salary, to help the country, to help even like stop some of the corruption that happens. Like, again, there's priority things and getting experts too high. But yeah, as I said, I'm really frustrated with how things are going at the moment. I think if something does happen with like the midterms in the US, where also we get Trump voted out and all this stops essentially, I'm hoping it's a thing. It's not guaranteed, but you know, if it does happen and you know we do stop it, then I think that we're probably on a good course. Probably on a good course for good things to happen. But this is probably the only thing that can change things at the moment. Again, like in the UK, we're still having our own problems. We do need to hope that Reform gets the least amount of seats and MPs or rather councils possible. That's really important. They're discussing it all day on Blue Sky today with random users about how Reform is stupid and disagreeing with the Greens for, well, one, the leader's actions is a bit stupid because that's going to destroy the country. You're going to let Reform win. It's like the political divide that we don't need, which is why, again, the tactical vote feels necessary, especially for the next Prime Minister. That's one of the big things, because I think if it did turn out that tactically voting across like, a wide variety of communities, it turns out like Lib Dems maybe are in the lead. Fuck it, Lib Dems, they get my vote. Even though I don't know what they're doing, I'm a bit worried about what they're doing. Yeah, but this is again like another situation where I feel like I can run a country better, but I know a lot of people say that. I know a lot of people think it as well, but I don't really know how to demonstrate that I don't have corruption in my roots or even really hostility. I don't think hostility really solves our problems, which is what Reform voters think. They literally do think it solves problems, and yeah, that's problematic in its own way. Like, yeah, I don't know what to add exactly. Yeah, so anyway, let's move on. I feel like reiterating this point because I've probably drawn a lot of viewers in from talking about war so much. But I need to explain how I got into politics. Well, talking about politics, I mean, damn it, from before. Not war. But war is a knock-on effect of it. But yeah, like, just almost a year ago now, I was made aware of the roundabout situation in the UK, as in people are painting the little roundabouts with flags and also waving flags on their houses. Me being a bit curious, I looked at it and wondered, is it the World Cup or something the UK's playing? And I thought, it might not be, it might be. So I was thinking, it's weird to show so much pride though, because it never usually happens. And being down these certain roads so many times as well, it made me realise something's not right. There shouldn't be so many people celebrating this, and I thought, let's look it up. And it turns out it's not about the World Cup at all. It's instead about separating the UK from foreigners. Basically, the anti-immigration arguments and the bullshit around that, with what catalysted, is that a term? What the catalyst was, rather, is a case where an immigrant was sexually assaulting underage girls, or rather a few were. And this was used as the catalyst for what became the fascist movement in the UK, the fascist movement rather, and even the talking point for Reform UK, who actually caused the separation between the UK and EU, which is incredibly stupid. But yeah, honestly, I did some research into it, watched a few TikToks and YouTube videos, and even the ones that weren't exactly in favour of immigration didn't sound convincing, because it made me realise that something is really off here. Something just doesn't make sense. So I looked at it and it's like, oh well, this shit is like this argument just doesn't work. And statistically, the amount of illegal immigrants who commit crimes, even sexually motivated ones, is quite small compared to the white British person, and that's per population. And it really shows. It's fucking insane how bad it is. And yeah, that basically made me realise that the truth is not as simple. So all these people waving flags, simply saying, oh, get out of our country, you're not speaking our language, you're raping our women and children, you're causing problems and getting free money. It ended up being false. I did a lot of research on this, more than I've probably ever done for a topic, and it revealed really troubling truths that really go against the narrative here. So that's why I started getting into it. And I was thinking, all this is horrible, and you see every day that people are mocking the migrant children and women for existing, even though they have migrated. They're NHS workers and stuff. And these people are going out there, kidnapping them, raping them, and these are white British people doing it. What the fuck? I've realised it's such an injustice there. And they probably didn't even get properly persecuted for it, to be honest. So, yeah, naturally I'm worried for the country because of that. And I've realised I needed to get into politics to realise what can be done about this, so I can advocate for it and be on the right side of history, because this is literally evil shit. I don't want to support a party or even a common notion that raping women and children of obviously a different ethnicity is the right thing, because that's what this is about. It's not actually about deporting them and clearing the streets so that British people exist. It's literally an ulterior motive. And it's also a conflict of interest, I guess, in some ways, because what they're saying is different to what they're preaching, and what they're preaching is obviously the rape and molestation of women and children of different ethnicities, and also picking on guys who are also of a different ethnicity too. And this is why I take such issue with it. This is why it's such a problem. It's so fucking ridiculous. Yeah, I got really uncomfortable about this, and genuinely made me worried. Especially with the misinformation that Reform was doing, and the basically playing by the Trump playbook that they are doing. Because believe it or not, people don't realise this, but they are doing it. Even recently, like May 4th, 2026, they literally announced detention camps from in Green communities as a way to dissuade people from voting Green, which won't work, by the way. It's pretty much impossible to actually have that work. But basically, the politics led me to this route where I realised everything's quite interconnected. So I started listening to, at first, your party, and eventually that went on to the Greens, because I knew Conservatives have a bad track record, Reform can't be trusted, Labour can't be trusted, Lib Dems I hear nothing about. I saw one TikTok and I said, right, you're fucking idiots, I'm not voting you. That's a sad reality. They didn't address anything in it, and then it just led me down the route of Greens, who were talking about things that are related, as were your party. Although your party sort of went silent for a long time. I think I still are, to be honest. I also saw my first Jeremy Corbyn post the other day, Blue Sky, but that's a different thing. Yeah, so the Greens ended up being the party that I side with now, and so much so that I agreed on them with so many points. I became a member. It's the first ever time I've listened to politics and the first ever time I've become a member. And this was essentially forced because of what Reform were doing. We had controversies with Nigel Farage cutting welfare, and this includes something that I'm affected by, which is disability welfare. So I get benefits for my disabilities. And on top of that, I also get welfare for being unable to work, so I have to support myself some way, keep myself busy, keep myself occupied, and obviously contributing to the economy as well. It's pretty much one of the only reasons that keep us alive, I think. But yeah, Greens essentially do those things but better. As in keeping the welfare in the hands of the average person, including people like me and people who work. So it's really important that the Greens get in, and I realised this is quite true. And then I looked into it more about politics in general, and how both Labour and Reform have ties to Trump and also Epstein somehow. But that's a different story. But yeah, there's basically ties there, and made me realise we're really treading a tightrope in the UK, and this is why I started to really, really give a shit. Like, seriously, like it's like my life depended on it. And I've been fighting this battle for so long. I've argued with people on TikTok, I've argued with people on Blue Sky, I've even argued with people on Reddit, I think, about fighting for the Greens, even YouTube, I think, briefly anyway. I don't really get replies anymore on there for some reason, I don't know what happens. And I never get comment notifications either, which is annoying. But I'll try my best anyway. And yeah, this is why I fight here. It's not because I had any choice in the matter, it's because I have to. People really do not understand how important it is. I struggle enough to support my own needs at the moment because of the lack of income I get. To put into context, I can't exactly afford to pay groceries in the next month because I have to pay off not a loan, but a payment option that I took, because I have to get these things sorted in my life. I have to address my health problems, which they won't provide with, say, disability benefit or even the NHS. So I have to do it by my own hands and by my own consent, essentially. It's like really shitty. But it costs me hundreds to thousands to even address this, which again is the absurd thing, because the cheap things won't do it, and other things just won't do it either. Even mid-range sometimes doesn't work. Headphones, for example, I need to go mid-range, which work usually, as long as it's good noise cancelling and good EQ, so that addresses my sensory issues. My chair addresses my heat issues. I need to get an aircon at some point to properly work, because I can't stand the heat at the moment, I can't stand the summer. So that needs to be a priority, and then also need to deal with other issues that affect my mental health, like OCD, anxiety, which again, some of those address it too. But there's so many different things, and that's why I got into this to begin with, is to essentially protect myself when I am in my good days and generally able to tolerate life. because at the moment it's difficult to, because of autistic burnout, which is a different ball game to, say, regular burnout. Where regular burnout, I think it's quite readable to tell when someone's got it, but autistic burnout's far different, and it can also impact me at random times, as I discovered the other day. It's just at our family's house, and they're talking about politics, and it felt like a betrayal when I heard them talking negatively about the Greens. It's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. This is exactly what's going to get me put on the street. This sort of conversation. And there ain't much I can do about it, I don't think. But, if they don't care about me, then yeah. Ties cut. That's it. I'm fucking done. But that's another issue. But I just cannot understand these narratives around immigration and stuff. It's not even the biggest fucking problem here. You're kidding me, the prices are going up, and then Trump's war is making things worse. Israel's probably making things worse as well, let's be honest. It's been making things worse, especially with various, in context it is anti-Semitism. They do it against their own people, and they do it against other religions and lack of religion. That's exactly what I mean. It's just, everything is a clusterfuck at the moment, and nothing's being done to actually help us. It's always about power and money at this point. It genuinely makes me confused. What the fuck is actually going on? It's often the question. Then you get idiots like the Reform voters, which you are idiots, by the way. You're asking for a Trump 2.0, you're asking for an ICE 2.0, you're asking for a cost of living. How many fucking times is this? We have COVID, we have obviously this war, and we're gonna have a third fucking wave of wage probably problems as well. Not being able to feed families, not being able to feed anyone for that matter. Jesus fucking Christ, it's unbelievable. But this is why I got into it. And if nothing happens here, then that's it. I'm done. I'm just gonna put my vote as a default for Green, and that's it. I can't be bothered anymore. It's essentially over. Because I don't even know if we'll get a second chance. And the other thing, I guess, is that people have to put up with, in the UK, a Reform government for 4 years and somehow survive. Which, by the way, not a lot of Reform voters will survive because they're already on benefits themselves. They're already believing this stupid shit and are happy with bringing in essentially what was another Trump. Probably minus a lot of the Epstein stuff, but that's a different thing. But as I said, it's a big problem. That's why I'm involved. It's just sad reality. I never thought I'd be involved because I just knew that a party that was often against my rights was a right-wing party. And that's doubly true now, but I started to care about what the left is saying, and before it was like I didn't care because I often trusted the left, except for the few that don't. But I guess there is really so few that you can actually trust in the left as well, which is really a shame. Even though nobody's perfect, and even the Green Party isn't perfect, I have to admit that myself. But they are the only party that can actually do something for the UK, and people have also failed to convince me otherwise when they have tried to. I've talked about the economy today, about how apparently Gary Economics is a pseudo-economist somehow. And also apparently supporting the minimum wage thing is not going to happen. Put up wealth tax, and they ignored it. Put up wealth tax again, they ignored it again. So as far as I know, the Greens are on the right track records. It's just people need to be convinced of it, and then they can essentially win. Yeah, as I said, I'm sick and tired of this, and my throat's also starting to hurt because I'm talking so much today. Yeah, it is such a shame. Anyway, I really need to move on, so yeah. Actually, I need to reflect this point again. I heard it again today. I almost completely forgot about it. But it's about politics, and people saying oh, I don't care about politics, or I'm not going to vote. You're the types of people that are going to fuck us over. You're actually as complicit as a lot of companies, or they are companies in some way, but the parties that are going to oppress us and make us a poorer country. But it's about politics carrying that you don't care, essentially, and they'll be into you if you're not into them. And that's basically what it's about now. That's why, again, I've forced my hand, and why other people need to play a role in this, because there won't be any change without a proper system, proper voting and tactical voting. We just doom ourselves to repeat history again, Trump situation. But yeah, this is why people need to care, even if you really, really don't fucking care and you just want it to be out of your life, you ignore any news. Now's the time to pay attention, because you really need to. Honestly, it's extremely serious. We never had as far as I know in history, a situation like this. I don't think we've ever had a scenario where voting has become so important and the policies of each party have become so crucial to having success in places, like literally, whether it is welfare or even just cost of living. Like, it really depends. Just workers' rights. But this is exactly what we mean. Politics are into you, even if you're not into them. And that just goes true. One day you're working, you say, "Oh, I don't care about politics, don't bring it up to me, stop getting in my way, it's not going to affect my games, it's not going to do anything." But the reality is, it's going to get in the way of every fucking thing. You're not going to be able to get to work, you're not going to be able to play games. In fact, you're going to be under surveillance, because that's probably what a lot of them want to do, even some of the left, but that's another issue. But it's probably more common with the right, and that's why we need to give a shit. That's why they're into you. So when you see one day, you just submit your passport in the post, or you need to use the government ID app. Tell them to fuck off, but that's not going to change anything, because you had the option to vote, you had the option to reverse this, prevent it, and now you're regretting your choice, or lack thereof. Like, great, you put the complete reliability of a rather burden of responsibility, on the shoulders of those few, or majority now it seems, who decided to vote. Again, you only have yourself to blame for this. You're in the same camp as fascists and reform voters in the case of UK. And the party paedophiles, that is what they are. That's what I've pretty much predicted since everything they've said about migration and basically, basically on the side of voters who are objectively paedophiles and rapists. So yeah, again, it's on you as well. You're in that group or you're not. That's basically what it is. Either you're into politics or you're not, and that's that, Same size, but yeah. Anyway, let's actually move on now. So this is the other thing, I guess. Talking about political leaders from a few topics ago, basically what I do in those situations, thinking about the wealth tax, I was wondering, what can I do exactly to convince a billionaire to pay the wealth tax? Seemingly I'm a bit reluctant about it, a bit unsure maybe. And I guess it'd have to be a conversation. Obviously, it might have to be over a dinner or something. You never know. It has to be something stupid like that, probably. But I guess the important part is to treat them like humans, rather than treating them like drones. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people don't currently treat them, at least on the left, treat them as if they are human beings and instead treat them like drones, which, yeah, they appear as such and they are probably monsters. But I'd rather have a discussion about this rather than obviously a dinner. And the discussion would obviously determine what's the best course of action here. Because, I'd love billionaire funding to obviously help out the population to stop inequality, but I'd have to convince obviously the billionaires of this, and whoever it is, even just CEOs. But I have to do that in a way where it's accessible for them and also just works. That's the most important part, to ensure that it just happens and doesn't cause problems for anyone, for everyone as well. I guess it would go down like a conversation and, say like this is my proposal, a 2% tax on billionaires essentially for profits, and wondering like I should probably highball it maybe first, so like 10% for profit earnings, and then obviously depending on how far they are in terms of zeros, it goes down. So I don't know, you got say I don't know what the highest actually revenue is. I guess like 100 billion. So obviously that's like a 10% tax. It's like come the fuck on. That is ridiculous. And then redistribute that. Maybe it's 1 0 less, so it's like 10 billion. Probably like 1%. I don't know how it works actually. I could be wrong, but basically I'd have to be fair in it. I'd highball it as I said, and go lower if they can't agree, and try to negotiate it essentially, and get that opinion from multiple people, or even just discuss it with multiple of them at once, so that there is an agreement here that they can all be satisfied with, so they can keep the profits that they're getting at a stupidly high rate, even though we may not agree with it, and people in society can also benefit and also give them more profits, which is the knock-on effect of it. So it's really a no-brainer. But that's probably what I'll do. Again, assuming there's no issues, and I'll probably get an economist to help me with that sort of thing. Maybe even help negotiate as well, because that's probably a big thing. But that's the gist of it. I really do think that it could be beneficial to do something like that, because it does mean that what the fuck's going on here? God, I don't know what's going on there. There we go. But yeah, I just think there's too many benefits to the idea of negotiating it. So I wished, or rather hope, that in the future, with a case like maybe the Green Party taking over in terms of votes in the UK as Prime Minister, I hope that there can be a sort of agreement, like we contact the supposed billionaires and have discussions to be able to determine what the wealth tax should be, and obviously highball it to start with. So 10% is probably really fair to start with. Some will be on board for that, and others won't. But I think it really depends on which one. But making sure that we get the tax to begin with to support the country, it should be a priority. Like, come on, and that's why we need to discuss it. Like, if we don't communicate, we just feel like worse than them, I guess. Like drones and monsters in a way, because they're not even getting consent necessarily. Although I could really consent matters given what they've done, but it's still important either way. But yeah, that's kind of what I mean. It's like opening communications, having open discussions about this, even making them public if possible. So there's no argument, there's no controversy, there's no leaving the country because we've pissed you off so much. But that's kind of the point. Not to get them to piss off. I mean, just get the right thing done. Again, even if it's not agreeable, just getting things done the right way. But yeah, I don't really know what else to add, but that's actually what I'm thinking with this. I could be wrong again, but I do hope there is a situation like this in the future where I can be or not really, just proven, I guess, isn't it? Basically just showing that things can be done that way, discussions with whoever. I think even, actually, I remember Zach saying something about discussing things with Donald Trump. It's like, to obviously keep relations kind of close, obviously, to discuss affairs and stuff, and supporting the UK and the US if need be. But also getting a point across. I think that's another thing. But I do think it's important, like, keep your enemies close, friends close and your enemies closer, as they say. I do think that is important, so this really applies to this case. Figure out what the billionaires want, why they actually want this money, and do something based on that. So that, again, we get the money, we ensure we have this money to help distribute to the public. And also as a public resource as well. And like, maybe there's even like a wish, like maybe based on negotiations, we grant them where they want their money to go based on what their causes are more like aligned with. So I don't know, let's say you've got a car manufacturer who's like really profiting off maybe EVs or I don't know, like gas cars or maybe both. And let's say they're taking in like billions per year. Okay, we negotiate. So you can't support something you're currently involved in. So what would you support? Or maybe even like something that's not indirectly in support. So you can't do like gas companies or even like renewable energy. Like I'd rather have them pick something absolutely unrelated to the sector they're in. So it'd probably be something like charity work, maybe, or employees or local businesses. There's many different things, even like maybe it's not indirect, but garages. I don't know. This is again why I'd have like, the relevant experts on it. So maybe a car person would tell me like, okay, he wants to support this, but this is a car-related industry. So now we have to go a different route. So you have to support like something else, like disability rights or LGBTQ plus rights or something like that, or even just immigration. So they support something like even just farmers. Like, let's not forget we need to subsidise and convert farming for the future. But this is why we have the discussion. Like, come the fuck on. It's not hard to figure out, people. This is why I bring it up. Yeah, people may not agree with it, even people on the left, but this is probably the way to go. It's about having discussions, rather than putting a point out there, like saying, scoring a dart and saying, I win. It's more like having a conversation during the darts, that's what I'd call it. So it's not about winning, it's just making a conversation and agreeing and then scoring. That's all it's about. It's not about winning. Anyway, I really think that's important to say. I could be wrong on this, but that's what I think. It doesn't matter how evil they are, they could be fucking Mark Zuckerberg for all I care. But still have a conversation. Because that's important. So yeah, I pretty much stress this point. So anyway, I'll move on. So this might be funny as well, to sort of break the mould that is the darkest fucking politics in history. The Steam controller apparently sold out the 2026 variation. Sold out in 30 minutes. And it broke Steam. It doesn't surprise me, to be honest. It's quite a groundbreaking controller, to be fair, and everyone is saying it's good, even despite the price. And, it's fair enough. Like, I'd definitely consider replacing this controller in front of me, although I would need a turbo button on it. Somehow, maybe with the extra buttons at the back. But yeah, again, it's another Valve win, and it's quite positive news as well. It shows that it's gonna probably sell, although I do worry that scalpers will get their hands on the shit somehow. I'm hoping that they have a system in place so that scalpers aren't actually gonna fuck it over like they did everything else hardware related. Yeah, I do genuinely hope that it can work out and we see hardware sell just as good as this. That's also good hardware. Because honestly, a lot of shit hardware does unfortunately sell, not like the Switch 2, which isn't perfect. It's just okay. There's nothing really that special about it from what I've seen. And, even then, we still yet to see a PS6 and a Xbox something at this point. I don't even fucking know what it's going to be called. Series X, Series Z, Series 1. I don't even know at this point. They're just so stupid, that naming scheme. They could have gone like 720, 1080, etc. like the resolutions, but no. They could have even gone with like a cooler name, like the X1, the X2, something like that. But no, they made it as confusing as fucking possible. So, yeah, extremely dumb. But it's good that Valve are winning again. because yeah, it feels necessary. So yeah, I just wanted to report on that. Really, I don't really know the full details, but obviously it's good news, even if it is sold out and you can't get one. Anyway, let's move on. Well, it's been a while, but I figured I'd give a tip and a trick because this is going to be a difficult podcast to get through anyway. But I figured I'd give this one out because I found it quite interesting. I discovered it only a few months ago, and I was first brushing my teeth for more than once per day because I only used to do it once. And this trick basically involves safely putting on your toothpaste without having to worry about it falling off, because I used to have this a lot. Because I don't know why, it seems to be vegan toothpaste, but it doesn't stick the way it should. It's just not a problem though, because you just work around it. You put in the brush first and then do it, but it's not good because it might actually cause mould. I have seen mould appear by doing that before, so maybe not the best idea. But I found a solution, and I think the solution is awesome. So when you put the toothpaste on, very simply, the toothpaste on your toothbrush, assuming you use that, you use your tongue to press it in there. And then with the excess that sticks to your tongue, you can use your teeth or front teeth to scrape it off, or whatever's closest to you. So, top right teeth, top left, or you can use the bottom of your tongue and then do the bottom teeth. And just realise that. God, don't put me through an IQ test, whatever you do. But I actually think this tip is really cool. And then it allows you to wash your brush, also with water to make it moist. And then you brush with it, obviously, and yeah, it stays on. Doesn't fall off, it stays between the bristles in your brushes, and yeah, it's just a good trick overall. I really recommend it. Especially in the case like mine, where it just kept falling off into the sink, and then yeah, wouldn't recover it. Don't want to recover it. God knows what's been in that sink, and it's my sink. Anyway, let's move on to the outro, because I figured I'd put this at the end as a kind of pace breaker, because politics is quite taxing and heavy. You probably want to hear something different, so yeah, I'll try to put everything like that towards the end here. So yeah. So this is going to be a sort of heavy but also maybe enlightening topic. I'm not 100% sure. I've thought about it and it's kind of hard to say, but I was thinking, with the way things are obviously in the world and stuff, it makes me wonder about what I've done in obviously my 20s, and how people use it and sometimes just waste it. But I think one of the things that's like the biggest deal is I've at least survived this long. I don't know if people realise that, but I think surviving this long, especially in this day and age, is I think it's quite an impressive feat. Because we are living through a sort of dark ages in a way. But I guess it really depends on your sort of point of view, POV, whatever you call it. But there's part of me that's like, have I wasted it or haven't I? It gets me thinking a lot. Like, have I done enough to be proud of myself, to die happy? Have I done enough to pass some, I suppose, a legacy, or even just something to do with helping others? And I don't know, there's a lot of things I can go into, because I've done quite a few different things, and it's within the realm of my ability, so I'm not obviously doing something like going into Gaza and providing humanitarian aid, but I have donated to a place to do that, and I think that's often the best thing I can do, and I've helped people personally by talking, not about Gaza, just to be clear. I've helped people I've met, so I try to pride myself on just doing the best I can, like using my luxury, or privilege rather. It's not luxury actually, it's just privilege. But being alone at home with essentially nobody to talk to really, not that I mind, but I use it to do good. And given that this has basically been the 20s, my 20s rather, there have been a lot of things I look back on, both with, I guess, joy and regret. I think the biggest regrets probably is getting into relationships, although they have taught me important lessons. I just find with relationships, I'm just a fucking control freak. It just goes without saying. I'm paranoid. I've got OCD. I've got too many problems. It's not worth burdening others with that. Essentially, there's literally no point in doing relationships. And with the whole thing a few years ago with my anguish of being a virgin, which very much is a real thing, I think, I realised I had to redirect my mind and ground it to something else. And so I did, and I was pretty much successful in that. But I think the anguish of being a virgin sort of years are probably some of my darkest and some of my weakest. But then also I moved when I was going through that, and that was a big positive, I think, anyway. Being able to be in my own space, in my own time, it's pretty good. I wasn't sure I was going to last, and I was thinking I was going to be too many things to do, too many things to worry about. But it's actually not too bad, well, given I get the help I need. But yeah, what's the other thing? I swear there's another regret. I guess not getting into hobbies sooner, and also like various types of activism, because again, using the privilege I have of being at home and being online, I try to use it for good, and I do that the best I can, even though people may not like it, and there are points where it's bad. But I just try to emphasise that, and I suppose like again the regrets are not starting all these sooner. Like I've actually eliminated animal products for the last 6 years, like, entirely from my diet and lifestyle. I've obviously gotten into activism, I've gotten into debates and stuff, and various forms of discussion, and tried to have an overall positive impact on the world, albeit with struggles, but I've tried, and that's something. It's more than most people do. And I tried to make out a situation where I'm like partially working, for example. So I'm doing my hobbies as the quote unquote work, even though it's not actually employment. I'm not earning any money from it. In fact, it's costing me money, but that's another issue entirely. But that's essentially it. That's the entire thing with regrets in 20s. I suppose the other thing is not exploring my body sooner and sexuality. I guess I maybe at one point need to potentially try something like drag, like something to just experiment with. Because you never know, it could awaken something in me that I didn't even realise. I'm not sure how to do it given I struggle with shaving my beard and stuff, but yeah, it could be something. Like, you never know. In all honesty, I'd rather just be like an in-between, like a non-binary person. Come off as that, but also in a unique way too. So I want to be like a muscle-bound, non-binary person, I guess. So that'd be great, really. Trying to think. Don't think there are really any other regrets, but again, the joys I find it's kind of difficult, really. Also, I've still got my mind set on gaming. I've been gaming for over, say, about 20 years now. What is it? 22 years? I think it's 22 years, roughly. As I'm a year away from my 30s, and this is why I'm having this discussion anyway. I got thinking about this because I've just tuned into a live stream randomly to see what they're doing, because there's no live streams at the moment, it seems. Which is a little disappointing. Just Roxas Live with 33 Immortals. I don't know what that is, but apparently it's a co-op game. But yeah, as I said, I'm doing the most I can. Like, whilst I do artwork, I watch TV or movies. Whilst I do other things, I can things like grindy. Basically, I can watch or browse all browse the internet and also listen to music. That's something I could do at the same time. It's quite interchangeable. So that's another benefit. I use the time wisely so that I can gain an overall benefit from it, not waste my time in the slightest. I'm trying to think of good things. Again, being able to overcome some of my problems, still things to overcome, and getting my own income was a big deal. I think because that meant I was truly moving on from obviously my previous life, which was staying at home with family, and it can be a mixed bag sometimes. There weren't tons of issues, but there were enough that I felt like I needed to move. There's nothing seriously bad. It's just my own mental health causing me problems, OCD, autism, and those weren't diagnosed. And even as I developed IBD, I think things became problematic because someone tried to open the door. It's how long are you gonna be? I don't know. My shit is so fucking painful. I don't know how long I'm gonna even be alive. It's actually ridiculous. So there are issues like this that exist. So obviously I had to move, but again it's looking like I'm needing to find an alternative. So it's very strange. I need to find a solution to the problem I have today, the problems I have today rather. Because those are causing me great pain and significant problems. But again, the few joys I have in life are quite hard to find. They're just difficult. I'm not sure what to say on that, to be honest, because that's just what's happening. What joy is there? Animal videos here and there. Seeing on Blue Sky there's been an influx of posts where people are sharing these videos of the foxes that they find in their garden. They're really adorable cubs because it's cub season, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So you see a bunch of babies around at this time, which is adorable. I think, in my opinion, wolf lovers. I think baby foxes are probably the cutest animal there is. Just hands down. You have to see them to believe it, because they're always so consistently cute, and there's no variety, which is interesting. I guess other than Fennec, I think Fennec's a bit more sort of compressed look. Fennec foxes are cute though. Yeah, they're very playful as well. But I know a bit about foxes. I wish I knew more. That's probably something to look for on my wish list, maybe. A fact book about various animals, especially UK wildlife. I think that'd be great. It gives me an insight. Things obviously gaming can be a joy. I have fun playing games. Although at the moment, obviously, I'm not enjoying this because it's shit. This shows a problem with the game, the fact I'm just losing games on purpose. It shows a problem with the gameplay, because that's how much I don't care. But you do get a reward for it either way for playing, so I might as well lose quickly. But are there any others? I enjoy listening to music and watching TV and movies sometimes. So I think the show that gave me the most joy, rather the top 3 shows, it's probably One Piece, South Park, and Simpsons. I think they've given me a lot of joy. There are obviously shows in between as well that are just gems. I'm trying to think actually. There are non-cartoon ones too, but there are plenty of cartoon ones. But yeah, there's so many different things. It's hard to list. I even have my own document. Actually, that reminds me. I have my own document listing the things I really enjoyed, but it has to be really good to appear on there. So that makes me think, okay, I did write Simpsons in there, but it has to be extremely good. As in, the best things I've ever seen or heard or made, whatever. It depends. But that's really what requires the requirements for it rather to be on there. And those things are things that bring me joy. Gaming unsurprisingly will be on there. There'll be, I think, it'll be artists as well, musicians. There's different areas where that's a thing. But yeah, in terms of like I've wasted my 20s, like other like life experiences, I've known that I can't really do social gatherings. I think the only ones worth doing are probably around like-minded people. Like, for example, if I'm planning to eat out, I'd rather do it alongside people who don't eat animals and animal products. It's actually quite an enlightening experience, believe it or not. If you are a vegan or vegetarian, even in that case, well, not a good idea with vegans though. I think vegans should just be the vegan group unless you're ordering vegan. But it's a really enlightening experience. I remember when I first went, like a few years ago, it was like probably one of the best nights of my life because it was just great food, great company, and I'd honestly never had that experience before. Not that like experiences with my family aren't great, but given that I've been a vegetarian for longer than I've been vegan and most of my experience is animal, but with family who are not vegetarian necessarily, yeah, there's going to be a bit of a stark contrast in terms of discussions, although the humour is probably lacking a bit. Obviously with this great night out, but with family it tends to be good humour, so there's differences to these things. There's good and bad sides to each part. So obviously I've experienced that, I've been there, done it. I've even had some crazy things. I've been for a colonoscopy, I've essentially overcome some of my bigger sort of fears and stuff. Technically speaking, no, is that what I can do? I have thought about it before, but like maybe just doing walks on my own. The only thing I'm worried about is I look out of place or creepy, but I don't know, I just do treadmill now. And treadmill does bring me some happiness because I get to play a Nintendo Switch and Pokemon. It's such a good excuse to get handhelds, which is something I never thought I'd be playing, to be honest. I've always been a PC person, so it's a bit unusual that I'm now playing handhelds. Well, mini Switch, but I don't know if I plan on getting out any others, to be fair. What else? I'm trying to think. What other interesting things I've done? I tried alcohol. I like the taste. Hate the effects, although it can have good effects like social easing, I'll call it, like the pressure is like off a bit more. But I just can't stand the fact that alcohol is evil. It preys on people with addictions. It's advertised everywhere. It should have the same warnings as smoking. People misuse it. They cause drunk driving accidents. It's not regulated properly. That's basically the point I'm making. So I of course don't like it, and I think it's also kind of bad when children start on it. It's like a very taboo topic. Barely anyone ever talks about it, but I don't think it's a good idea. It's kind of similar to like a drug addiction, I guess. I think it's really tempting when you're young, especially as like a bragging right. I think that's kind of dangerous, and people seem to forget as children. You do a lot of bragging rights sort of stuff. I need to stay away from this everything, even when it's like in front of me. Like I tried beer once and hated it because of the taste. I remember that it was like my granddad's drink. Actually, it might have been pear cider. I can't remember actually. I might have had both actually, but I didn't like them. But ironically, one of my favourite drinks when I did try drinking was probably pear cider. But there's also other alternatives which are decent. But I'd rather not talk about it though, because again, it's alcohol and it's glorifying it. I don't really agree with that. I think it's a bit stupid and a bit dangerous too. There's no point. Yeah, like, in terms of like living life, to be honest, a lot of the things I have experienced, like obviously 20s, have been interesting. I've been in a limousine before. I've been to a party before as well. It's more like a celebration actually, more than a party though. And that was decent. It was okay night, except for the end where sort of a mini argument took place with family. It's not fun. But But yeah, I think we're tired at that point. I'm waiting for a fucking taxi for an hour in the cold and the rain. It's just so bad. It's like the service where we obviously partied there, it's just terrible. It's generally one of the most awful experiences I've had in that place. It's weird. So yeah, everything up here. I've been experimenting, obviously, and I've discovered things like sex toys, and I've experienced both sides, really. So that's like good and bad from it. This is what I mean by living it up and experiencing what there is to offer. Because there is very much a world of stuff to experience here. And it does matter in the long run, I think, because you only got to experience this once. But then again, I think the only thing special about 20s is that your mind's still developing a bit and towards obviously a more solidified version. Hence why I'm a bit more unhinged now, because my mind's more settled, I guess. And it's probably deteriorating, to be honest. But I guess it matters more because of physical condition too, because being in the 20s and stuff, I think you have better muscle strength and dexterity, if I'm not mistaken. Again, this is like based on what I sort of know about it. I think there are cases where I think as you get older, you get more health problems. And I'm going to try and avoid that. I think one of my bigger hopes with at least this place is to be able to have basically a home gym, and I think I've got a treadmill, I've got a dumbbell, just one though. I'll just train each arm a bit each time I can remember to use it, and it makes me strong. I can lift about 6 bags of shopping full of heavy and light bits in one hand, and it doesn't do much strain. It makes me out of breath because my stamina is shit, thanks all asthma. I almost said autism there, wouldn't be autism. Yeah, asthma. But I can lift quite heavy things. As I said, that recently the Herman Miller got in quite much easy. I can also lift my mattress quite well, and I think that's even heavier than the Herman Miller. The only problem with the mattress is the shape. I think that's the only problem with moving it. But it tells me to flip it every now and then, and I don't see a difference. It doesn't work. So I don't really flip it anymore, rather rotate it. Can't really flip it actually, it's got a memory foam top, so it's not a good idea. Yeah, like, what else is there? I don't know, but my 20s have been somewhat interesting. Obviously recently I got into politics and now I'm really turning into an old man, I think. But you probably know when I'm turning into an even more of an old man when I start to get more books and get into other things I was never into. So maybe like DIY is something I considered. I think if there's a opportunity that I get to replace this crappy door in my personal bathroom, yeah, I want to observe and want to actually do it. Like I want to actually help put the door on myself, like learn, because it'd be a good learning experience. So that'd be great, and also maybe do something with like expanding foam because I need to do that. Need to block up some holes where there's like insects getting in, which is very icky sort of stuff because it's like snails and slugs. It's not pleasant. I'll say that. Yeah, like just again a lot of experiences. I've even had experience of helping other people out with more physical tasks and whatever. Even had people comment on the strength because of that. It's kind of funny. Sorting out habits and stuff. Got a better routine now. And my routine was previously kind of shit. Yeah, but obviously where I am in life at the moment is not happy, but that's because of both a mix of mental health and just a shitty housing situation. But yeah, I think my 20s has been okay. I wouldn't say it's anything special. I think taking up hobbies was probably one of the big highlights of it, and getting into activism and stuff probably another big highlight. Because I look at this as a sort of how much have I actually done in my life? Like when I'm on my deathbed, or if I am on my deathbed, how much of it am I going to regret? How much are I going to be like, oh yeah, I did something good there, I think. And a lot of the activism, I think that's primarily a good thing. I could be wrong, but from what I see and what I understand, it is probably a good thing. Although that also ties into a bucket list sort of thing, and I think it's too personal to talk about. But there is part of me that also wants to experience some very once in a lifetime things. So that involves one of the corruption things I talked about a long time ago. Which really sucks because I think that's like it's really stupid, but really, yeah. I don't really like talking about it. It's just uncomfortable to talk about. Um, but there is the other aspects of what was that? Yeah, like visiting places and seeing the sights because I genuinely want to see certain places. Like, for example, like an Aurora window, for example, Aurora cabin. So they're kind of called. It'd be great to see the Aurora through one of those, or Northern Lights, whatever. But I'd also want to see other things through that. And also like sights involved in that too. So seeing well, like beautiful places like Greece, maybe Netherlands if they don't get uprised by the fascists, overthrown rather. Um, different places I'd love to see. Also that fucking castle in Germany, the Neuschwanstein. I can't pronounce it, but I love that castle. It's fucking amazing, and the area around it. Oh, that's just amazing. There's generally some really great architecture and in great places too. Being able to travel the world is probably one of my big sort of bucket list things, even though it's not great for my anxiety. I think in a matter of life or death, it doesn't fucking matter what happens. Like if I'm gonna die anyway, I'll die. But I might as well go and do things the way I wanted to. Also, I don't get caught up in a World War Three. That's another thing entirely. But yeah, but that's like my 20s, and I think I guess I'll do an outro here as well for the podcast because it's gone on for quite a while now. I also need to close my artwork. I did barely anything today, which kind of sucks. I did like music for about 30 minutes total, and then got sidetracked with Final Fantasy 14, and now I've completed that. Speaking of which, I need to take that off the list. Gold Saucer Challenges. No. Yeah. And trying my best not to waste my life, and that's basically the point here. I'm trying to do my best with everything. So yeah, so thanks for listening to the podcast. See everyone next time.